everybody. Welcome to Fish and Grits, the podcast. It's good to be back. My name's Lionel. I am joined by my main partners in crime, my compadres, my compatriots of Dollar. How long have we been friends now? 20 years?
When did you move to Atlanta? 2001?
2001.
Yeah, so 19.
Yeah, so 19 years. And Micah, we're at 16?
Somewhere around there.
That's bananas, man. 19 years. Ryan, our friendship can vote.
It can.
Hopefully it won't vote for the libertarian candidate. Anyway, welcome to Fish and Grits, the podcast, Atlanta's best dressed podcast about sports and culture and everything in between. We're down a man right now because Marco is late, but he'll jump in eventually. I think we already talked, but I'm joined by Ryan.
That's me.
Micah.
Hello.
That's that guy.
And in the background of the video, my dog Tucker. I took a week off last week, and it's because Andy Bunker is my arch nemesis, and I can't be so sort of like a programming note for everybody. We're back in the full swing of remote school and things like that. In a couple of weeks, 5 days a week, I will be doing my 40-hour-a-week job and taking care of both of my kids every day during the week. So it just, add that on top of the fact that I recently went through a mental health crisis, and I'm now on a secondary medication for my depression, which has just completely knocked me on my ass. So I've been exhausted for like 2 weeks now. So I want to say, number one, big thanks to you guys here at the pod for giving me the space to take time off when I need it. But I'm glad to be here. But I might not be here every week because I got to, take care of my brain space. There's also a chance I'm gonna dip out early tonight. So let's see what happens.
You're load managing, Lionel.
Oh, that's right. I'm like Kawhi.
You're saving it for the playoff run, man.
That's right. Which we'll get to one of the more exciting developments in a little bit. So let's do some current events at first, kick us off. So I don't know if you know this, but 2020 is the worst fucking year, right? Like it's just the worst year that's ever happened. To add on top of all the other shit that we've had to deal with, including murder hornets, which somehow has been under the radar. There was a news article the other day where it was like, if we don't get murder hornets under control this week, the whole United States will die. And I don't think we got the murder hornets under control. Anyway, wildfires in the western part of the United States have now burnt more acres of land in 2020 than any other previous year on record. One of those fires, the El Dorado fire.
Mm-hmm.
I think the El Dorado fire, yeah, was started. It started for the second year in a row because of a gender reveal party. This is the second year in a row that white people trying to have a party about their the gender of their child, blew something up in California and set the state on fire. Much like Party Kelly's nether regions. I just don't I don't get. Did you watch the video, the one last year, Ryan, where they blew up this explosives and the blue went everywhere? Yes. And then all of a sudden there's flames everywhere.
Off the distance.
And everyone's like,
oh, I know what happens here.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I had a dream last night that I started a wildfire. So, but we didn't.
How did you?
We didn't start the fire. I don't remember. It was right after I went back to my old job and stole a bunch of stuff out of their lab. So, so a few things that I've learned about gender reveal parties, recently is that I think that the biggest one is that it is almost exclusively a Caucasian event. Mm-hmm. Which,
yeah,
mostly a Caucasian event, which sort of should tell you everything that you need to know ahead of time. But the other one is that the guy who did who's credited with doing the first gender reveal party has basically said, please stop because you keep setting California on fire. So most of California is on fire, and there's all this talk about how the reason why California is on fire is because their fire prevention during the year is too aggressive. So like in prehistoric times, millions of acres of California would burn every year. And that was like 300,000 acres last year for preventative fires. So the only way to really prevent these huge widespread wildfires is to do like a checkerboard pattern of burnt areas versus not burnt
Control
areas.
burns.
Yeah. So you know how much control burn they're going to have to burn in the next year to prevent these massive wildfires at this point?
How much?
29 million acres.
Holy.
Which is the size of Maine. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh,
California's wacky. I feel really bad for everybody that's out there, but I feel more bad for everybody in Colorado, where they're dealing with wildfires, and then in the middle of the wildfires, it's going to snow this week.
currently snowing right now.
Oh, that's yeah. It's like they have a winter weather system. So like if you go downstairs in Colorado, everything's in flames and you're in hell, and you go upstairs in Colorado and everything's snowing and you're in Snowpiercer.
What I thought you were going to lead off with on that the brush stuff in California was old Trumpies.
You got to clean up
their floors. You
got to sweep the floors.
They got to sweep the leaves off the floors. It's just too many leaves everywhere.
I'm going to try really hard to pretend he doesn't exist as much as I can for the next couple of months, because it makes me. Anyway, so prayers out, thoughts and prayers for the West Coast. The state of Georgia is sort of a bag of crap for a lot of reasons, right? Like Brian Kemp, the Klan, Stone Mountain, Waycross, things like that. Statesboro, but
STD borough.
STD borough, or the highest incidence rate of HIV in the nation, whatever. But there's one thing that I can say about living in the Metro Atlanta area, which is that it doesn't get quite as country as Waycross, so I don't have to be, I'm not upset every day by Caucasianism and racism. But, the worst thing really that happens to us around here, knock on wood, is it gets really hot and I stay inside.
Well, and the only fires we have are freeways burning.
Which, and like I work from home anyway now. So if 85 wants to collapse next week, I'm fine with it. Right? Like I'm good.
Oh, well.
Actually, it should really be 285 because Jess has to take 285 to get to her office. So if like 285 could collapse a little bit, then Jess could stay home and we could, it's sort of our thing. Blessings on California. Some more news. Let's talk. Okay, I just said that I wasn't going to mention Donald Trump, but we got to talk about Donald Trump a little bit. The first thing is the boat parade, right? The boat parade is an example of how the writers for the 2020 season of Earth have totally run out of. It's sort of like, like 2008, we would get like metaphors for things, but it would be like, oh man, this is like a metaphor for stuff. And like, that's like season 1 Game of Thrones. We're in season 8 Game of Thrones. Where Arya sees the white horse and she rides it and she's death on the horse. Everyone's like, and like the guys who did Game of Thrones, like Dave and Dan, were like, oh man. Or when the dragon, what's his name? The black one. The only one that
Rhaegar?
lived.
No, Rhaegar died. Drogon, yeah.
Drogon. When Drogon melted the Iron Throne, like we're reaching Game of Thrones series finale levels of metaphor in 2020. So Trump people have been doing these things called boat parades, where they like everybody like gets on a boat and goes in like boats places, right? But they do it while holding all these huge Trump flags that are like waving all over their boat, and they ride together, and they're they don't wear masks or probably life vests, and they're all just like, hell yeah, make America great again because it didn't stick the first time. There you go, Ryan. That's the streak. So they were in, was it Wisconsin? Lake Franklin.
First one? I don't think it was Wisconsin. I think
anyway,
it was,
they were on this
yeah.
boat. They were on this boat parade, and 5 boats were in it was Texas. 5 boats were in distress, and 4 of them sank.
Yeah.
And the pictures of them sinking is really funny. But the thing that makes me laugh, and like there are pictures of like the boats with the Trump flags like on the floor, like the floor of the lake, just like with the Trump flag kind of going. But I think the thing that makes it most funny for me is that those boats sank because rich people in bigger boats didn't care about the smaller boats and zoomed by them, causing huge wakes, which then made the smaller boats take on water, which is a metaphor for the entire Trump movement of poor white people trying to get close to rich people who don't care about them or their well-being. So it was super on the nose. The other thing Donald Trump did is he referred to our war debt as suckers
and losers.
Which I remember when he didn't visit the cemetery a couple of years ago for the 100th anniversary of
why would I want to visit that cemetery?
Right. He was like, it's raining, but the rest of Europe showed up. And he has made fun of John McCain, for being captured and stuff. RIP in peace. But the biggest thing to me is that I totally believe that Donald Trump's the kind of guy that'd be like, why would they risk their lives if they weren't even getting rich? Like, he's the guy.
Probably what he thinks, honestly.
That's what he's been saying anyway. And so he also like made fun of John Kelly for John Kelly's son was killed in Iraq. He was a Marine. And then the Trump campaign's also making fun of Joe Biden, who recently went to mass and then went to his son's grave. And they were like, why wasn't he taking questions? Because he was at his son's gravesite, you douchebag.
Half of his family's dead. That whole thing.
Oh, man. So Donald Trump's a piece of shit. And I've heard reports, like I've seen reports on the interwebs of people saying like, hey, people believe that Donald Trump said this about the troops, and my old veteran neighbor took down all of his Trump flags and threw them in the trash can today and said that I won't vote.
Just period?
He just won't, because he won't vote for Joe Biden, but he can't vote for Donald Trump. At which point I would say you should vote for the Libertarian candidate.
Yeah.
People who, here's my voter PSA, okay? People who don't want to vote for Joe Biden but don't want to vote for Donald Trump should vote for the Libertarian candidate if you're a conservative, so that we can have a conservative. Micah disappeared.
Bye, Micah. Yeah, he's completely out. Oh, he's actually been having a lot of internet problems lately, so he'll be back.
All right, so it's just you and me.
Welcome to the Lionel and Ryan Show. Background noise brought to you by Tucker.
Yeah, chewing on that bone, man. Anyway, Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. What else we got?
You had that Herman Cain thing.
Okay, so have you heard about this?
I didn't know what you were talking about.
This is Trump adjacent. So Herman Cain, ran for president. Didn't make it. Yeah, Mike, do we want to pause and wait for him to come back, or?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody
resumed.
Welcome back from our technical difficulties break. We replaced Micah with Marco. So
kind of.
We're not trying to pull a fast one on you. We know they look different.
How far do we get?
I was just about to talk about Herman Cain. So we talked about the boat parade where all the boats sank, the Trump boat parade.
Yes.
All right. So Herman Cain ran for president and didn't make it. During a year when a lot of people ran for president, including Donald Trump. And then Herman Cain became one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, him and Ben Carson, Those are the guys that Donald Trump's like, look, Herman Cain likes me. I can't be racist.
Ben Carson took such a turn for he might be a good candidate to, oh, no, what happened?
everyone's like, well, he's a brain surgeon. I was like, and
he got mental issues.
So why is he the HUD secretary? Anyway.
Yeah.
So Herman Cain went to the Trump rally in Tulsa, the one that all the TikTok K-pop teens ruined, which I still think is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my whole life. So Herman Cain went there, and nobody wore a mask, and Herman Cain caught the Rona and then died, right? And Donald Trump didn't really care, didn't go to his funeral. Nobody really mentioned it. Well, Herman Cain's Twitter account has since pulled a Walking Dead.
What?
And is still tweeting about how coronavirus is a hoax.
What?
Yeah. Again, the writing staff for 2020 has really run out of ideas. Yeah. So hold on. I'm just gonna pull.
How did they get into Herman Cain's account?
It's like his people.
I mean, he obviously didn't write his own tweets.
Oh, okay.
The Cain gang.
Dang. That's pretty disrespectful to just not let a dead man just rest, but to use his likeness.
A Bill Clinton conspiracy video.
What's that weird face Ryan's making? What's wrong, Ryan?
Because I'm getting your internet connection is unstable. What is going on tonight?
I'm having a really hard time.
All right. I closed YouTube TV. Let's see if that fixes it. Because everything y'all just said sounded like y'all were Transformers. All right. So what I heard, what I'm going to have to edit back out, is Herman Cain has his account pulled a Walking Dead, the writers for 2020, and that's when it went.
Yeah. So Herman Cain's account is tweeting about how Corona is overblown and a hoax. It's the guy who died from the Rona. His Twitter account is like, nah, don't worry about it, man. So that's pretty funny. And then our other piece of current events news. So I appreciate what Microsoft did here because Google's done it too a couple of times. So like leakers are out of control, right? So like 100% about everything, every phone, every speaker, whatever, before it comes out because people are leaking. People are leaking like full commercials, which will happen to Microsoft today. Somebody leaked this morning a commercial for the Xbox Series S, which is the cheaper starter edition of their next gen Xbox console. And so Microsoft was like, okay, fine. And like release the specs on it. The same thing happened to Google a couple weeks ago. Someone leaked the new Google Home, and like the next day Google had a commercial out for it. They're like, yeah, that's it. So the Series S is supposed to start at $299. It's got 1440p output as a resolution, 4K media streaming, 4K upscaling for games, no disk drive, and only a 512 gigabyte hard drive, which ain't shit. But hopefully they'll have like an external drive support. We don't know anything about that.
I wouldn't doubt if they did.
It's considerably smaller than the Series X, which is supposed to start at $499. And that's the one that looks like a
computer box.
Yeah. Microsoft's they're not even pretending anymore. They're like, this is just a PC.
What is this thing? What is this like weird black circle on the box?
It's the fans.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Is like there've been a bunch of memes already today where someone put that picture that you're looking at, Marco, with the big black circle, and they put a washing machine next to it, like a front load washer, which made me laugh. But so
the skinny one's the S, and the thick one is the X.
Yeah, the thick boy's the X, which will have better hardware and a disk drive.
Better everything.
Probably, yeah.
Better RAM, better motherboard, better processor.
So Microsoft at this point is just building gaming PCs, especially because Game Pass works on PC, which is because Microsoft builds Windows. So I'm a pretty dedicated PlayStation gamer at this point. I believe that their exclusive titles are better. PlayStation seems to be, or Sony seems to be committing more to narrative gaming than Microsoft. a lot of Microsoft game releases are geared around like
multiplayer,
almost esports, you know? So like you've got like Apex, Fortnite, all the battle royale stuff, Call of Duty, which is like when Call of Duty came out with Warzone, I was like, oh yeah, right. Like you're going to be able to take on Fortnite. It's huge.
Warzone is just blown
It's
up.
a nightmare. And also, you know, like Madden, FIFA, stuff like that, but they don't seem to really be focusing on narrative games as much. Whereas with PlayStation, you're getting like Horizon, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, as a launch title for PlayStation 5, or at least
Isn't that sort of always been the case? Like where PlayStation.
well, but Halo used to be. Halo was like that was the the console game changer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was a really compelling story in a first person shooter. And Xbox also had Fable, which I guess is coming back.
They've ruined that.
But Halo Infinite makes me really mad because for 3 reasons. The first one is that it doesn't look like it's a next gen game. The second one is that they're just back on a Halo ring and they're like, we're doing it again. Bring it back to the start. And it's like, I'm really fucking bored with this.
It was a reboot.
It is a reboot. It's been
You
5
blew the ball
games.
up.
Yeah. Well, now we're back. And then the other thing they said is when they were talking about the game, they were like, hey, this Halo ring is 10 times bigger than the original Halo ring. And I'm like, cool, but what about the story? No. Listen, what we're going to do is we're going to update Halo Infinite. And there's only going to be one Halo game. It's going to be Halo Infinite. And we're going to update it over time. It's going to be like Fortnite. So like my enthusiasm for Xbox, like I like the idea of Game Pass, but like I'm an iPhone guy, so I'm not going to be able to play Game Pass on my phone. You know, like I'm not going to switch smartphone ecosystems to play video games. And the Game Pass games are like, 2 years old anyway. So I'm not excited about Xbox. The PlayStation, I've heard that the PlayStation price is going to be like $600.
What?
Which is what they did with PS3 too. Remember, PS3 that's why the 360 sold so well, is because the PS3 was like,
right.
That's why Xbox announces prices is what it is, because they know the only way they're going to compete with them is lower price points.
Yeah, well, and also better industrial design. The PlayStation 5, it was fucking ugly.
Right.
I tried so hard, dude. I tried so hard. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in a cabinet like I have my 4. So Ryan and I were just talking. Intel built some gaming NUCs, which are about like yay big, which have got some of the new RTX GPUs in them, and you can run Steam Link through like a Chromecast or Apple TV. In my case, with Apple TV, I could pair a Xbox remote to the Apple TV, and then you just get this gaming PC and hide it somewhere in the house. And you just cast it to any TV that you want in the house, and you can play most of the console games. I mean, I know Red Dead Redemption 2 just came out on PC, but like most console games are coming to PC because Microsoft and Xbox are so, Right. The only problem with that is if you want to get like a gaming PC that you can run with for years, compared to a console, gaming PCs age faster.
Right.
You're going to have to drop like $1,700.
Is it easier to update
3 PlayStation 5s?
Is it easier to update gaming computers?
It's easier, but it's more expensive.
Yeah,
so like,
if you're talking about replacing RAM, that's not too bad. But when you're talking about replacing your entire motherboard, it gets
or your
pricey.
GPU.
Hey, yeah. Hey, guess who's back?
Yeah, if you want, is he?
Yep. Back again.
This is now a gaming podcast.
Hey, I'd be okay with that.
I would too.
Diesel's back. He's your friend.
Hey, man.
Welcome back to the land of working internet.
Welcome to 2010. Yeah.
Finally, The Rock has come back.
Oh, perfect. That's it for current events. So now we're going to go offside with me for just a second. There's been some moving and shaking in the world of foosball. I don't know if you guys heard this, but PT Martinez is no longer part of Atlanta United. he joins Leandro Gonzalez Perez, Tito Villalba. Who else did we get rid of recently? Everybody.
Yeah. Our center defensive mid.
Nags.
Yep.
Oh, Nagby. And Miguel Almiron.
And the German, what was his name?
Gressel.
Yep.
Gressel, maybe.
Who is awful for DC. It's the only thing that makes me feel good. Pete. So Pete played in the Cup World Cup before he came to Atlanta United. He played for River Plate in the Cup World Cup against Al Nassr, which is a Saudi Arabian club. And Al Nassr really liked what they saw from PT because I think he scored like 15 goals or something nuts. He was just, he was River Plate PT. So Al Nassr and all of the Saudi Arabian teams throw money around like it's their job, right? So they decided that they wanted to buy PT because they really liked him and they want like a big time signing, and their fans would recognize him from when they played in the Cup World Cup final. So they gave Atlanta United $18 million for PT Martinez, which that means that Atlanta United now owns both of the top two outgoing transfer fees in MLS history with Miguel Almiron and PT Martinez. The announcement video for Al Nassr for PT Martinez is insane. It is the weirdest thing. This was like a huge deal for Al Nassr. Like their fans were like freaking out. I'm over here like, whatever. The guy, he scored 7 goals for Atlanta United. I'm like, nah. But Al Nassr fans are like freaking out. Yeah. So they've got this video where like you see like arms, like 2 sets of arms, right? One of them's wearing like a black suit with like white shirt sleeves. And the other one is obviously PT because he's got those like gummy, like Livestrong bands, and he's really skinny. And so like the suit guy opens up this like briefcase and it's full of cash, and he's like gesturing at the cash, and then he picks up a contract, and then it cuts to a Bentley pulling up to, no, it was a Rolls Royce pulling up to this like driveway. Then it cuts back and the guy's like talking about the contract. It cuts back to the Rolls Royce and the door opens. It's like a white Rolls, and this guy in like, the Saudi Arabia like white man thing. You know what I mean? Like,
the garb.
Yeah. And the red kafaya like on his head comes out, and he's also carrying a briefcase, and he walks in, and it cuts back, and PT's holding the contract, and he's looking at it, he's thinking about signing, and then the guy who came out of the Rolls Royce busts into the door and like slams his briefcase down on the table and opens it up, and it's like glowing gold, and there's smoke coming out of it, and it's just their jersey, which is gold, and a contract. And PT picks up he throws the other contract and picks up that one and signs it. And then they show him like disrobing in silhouette in front of this like nighttime skyline of Riyadh, right? So like you see like his silhouette of him taking his shirt off and then putting on this jersey, and then the lights kick on, and he's like, it's like, wow. Welcome, Nicholas Martinez. Gonzalo Nicholas Martinez is PT's name. We've been calling this motherfucker PT. It was bananas. And if you guys get a chance, you should watch this announcement video, because I was like, what is happening?
That sounds amazing, honestly.
So like we lost PT, and we were all just sort of like, see you, man. And Al Nassr's like, so, but that was always what we wanted to do with PT, right? Is we wanted to turn him into money. So we did.
And he didn't even do anything to earn the money. So
no, so we win, which is great.
One good game.
Yeah, he had one where we were like, "Oh yeah, this is the Pity Martinez that we thought we were getting."
Right at the end.
Yeah, and then they were like, "And he's gone," and I was like, "Well, bye,
GG."
So this opens GG. So this opens an international slot for Atlanta United and a DP slot for Atlanta United. And PT's $900,000 a year salary is also open for Atlanta. So that's cool. Also, Barco is attracting interest from Italy and Villarreal in Spain to the tune of about $15 million, which is pretty good. I think that's break even.
That'd be second, because that would be above Miguel's, right? But lower than PT's.
No, Miggy's was 20 24.
Oh, okay. I thought his was 13 for something for some reason.
Miggy's was 24 to the Prem. So, Barcito, Lil Boat might be on the move, which is fine because he really hasn't looked the same since he smashed Brandon Vasquez's girlfriend.
Little boat pulled up.
Other news in Atlanta United, we played Orlando. I didn't watch this game. I'm going to be totally honest. I was talking to Carlos. No PT. It was no. I wasn't in on it. And so I told Los, I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. I can't stand to see us lose to Orlando. Well, we were losing to Orlando. And Steven Glass was doing some really weird stuff. Like he pulled Miles Robinson and subbed on Jurgen Damm. So like we went down a central defender and then went up a winger, which Jurgen Damm is, if you haven't watched any of this kid play, he's very fast. And he looks like he's going to be really good.
Is he like Miggy fast or faster?
I think he's faster than Miggy. I don't think he's as technically proficient, which is why he's out on the wing instead of in this. So like one of the reasons why Miggy was so unbearably fast is because he was running through people. At the same time, Dam is really fast, like with a lot of space. But he's not gonna be able to duck and weave. But in the 90th minute, Adam John with a header to seal the tie for Atlanta United to give us a point, and then he shushed the Orlando City fans because Orlando City has fans there. I take back nothing about what I've said about Adam John, but I do appreciate that he did what he's being paid money to do, which is score goals. Also, fuck Orlando. We play Miami again tomorrow. We're just playing Florida teams. I don't know. My review of this team under Steven Glass is we need a new manager and we need a bunch of new players. We need to rebuild the midfield. We need a creative central midfielder. It looks like the defense is actually really good. Antoine Walkes and Miles Robinson are a really good center back pairing. George Bello is a magician and apparently saved a bunch of goals over the weekend. Right back, it looks like an issue because Franco Escobar isn't playing at the level that we expect him to play. And defensive mid looks fine. Between Laurentowicz and Rometty, I think Rossetto's still too young to really give us that like dynamic central midfielder. But we look okay in midfield. We just need some playmaking. And then up front, we need a understudy for Joseph.
Here's a question for you, because I have no idea when it comes to the MLS. Since we've now taken in all this money from transferring these players out, is there a salary cap in the MLS, or can we throw just exorbitant amounts of money at people?
There is a salary cap. DPs are exempt from the salary cap. That's why you only get 3.
3?
So that's just
unless you're LA
MLS to attract stars then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got we've got a DP slot open now with PT gone, and we got a ton of money, which that money could go towards things like upgrading the training facilities or something like that, because it's just cash in for the team. The thing about Barco, they're talking about holding off until Villarreal or someone else offers them like between 18 and 20 mil, is because those European clubs can afford it. And because we will have to pay solidarity payments to Independiente, which was the club that Barco came from. So like, because they trained him, and he developed at their academy, we have to pay them.
That's nice. That's
forever.
No, just with this sale. Like it's like it's part of the it's part of the clause when we signed Barco, is we were like, we'll also give you however much. I think it's down from, it was 30% last year and it dropped to 15% this year.
So is this how these academies make their money, by training players and hoping they get big money eventually?
It's just sort of how business works everywhere except in the United States for these soccer players. So like Arsenal recently had a couple of their academy players sign for other clubs, and then sign for bigger clubs after that.
Mm.
So Arsenal gets some of that money because they trained at the academy,
Oh.
right? So like Atlanta United took Barco. We've had Barco for like 3 seasons.
Mhm.
It's like his 3rd season. We didn't develop the kid.
Right.
You know, we just put him on TV. Sort of like Miggy, we paid a bunch of money to Miggy's home club in Paraguay once we signed him because like all we did was put him on television, which if you don't know, MLS actually has a big TV audience in Europe.
Really?
Like people watch American soccer, which I thought is ridiculous because it's fucking awful.
On like tape delay or just they can't
No,
watch
they air it live.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I watch British soccer live.
Right.
Just at odd times of the day.
Well, at like 7 a.m.
Right.
But I mean, that like gets it out of the way. You know what I mean? The other soccer news is that Leo Messi is staying with Barcelona after Barcelona refused to reduce his sell price of 700 million euros.
Wow.
Barcelona
It's like,
set his they set his transfer fee at 700 million euros.
That's ridiculous.
So Messi was like, I want to leave.
824 million
in dollars. Yeah. So Messi tells Barcelona, he's like, I want to leave. And Barcelona's like, you're the best player on the planet. Our transfer fee is almost €1 billion. And so no one's going to do that. So Messi, like, he said, fine. So he's going to play next season with Barcelona. It is going to be really interesting to watch because that means that Barca's got this season to build a good team around him. So we'll sort of see what happens, but Messi watch continues. In Tebow time, a Tebow time update, there is no update about Tim Tebow. He's not playing soccer. He's not doing anything. He's probably sitting at home making comments about how he's so happy he's married. So now he
Being
can
a
have
good
sex.
Christian.
That's it for me. God, that feels good.
Crack. Micah.
Brett Shea got rid of his dreads. That's the other thing. Sorry. Remember Brett Shea had dreads?
Oh, yeah.
And then he blew up his knee.
Oh,
Now he doesn't have dreads anymore, and he plays for Miami.
well.
Actually, there's a bunch of X5 stripes on the Inter Miami roster. LGP, Mikey Ambrose, Brett Shea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those some crunchy looking dreads he used to have.
Welcome to Miami.
Oh man.
I
Micah.
choose you, Mikachu.
So,
Michael worked a full count. Now he's going to hit a grand slam.
so we got some baseball news here for you.
Take me out to the bowl.
Chip Carey.
The Braves offense is thriving lately. They've been hitting the baseball very, very. They've been
Hey,
swinging
Jeff. Hey, Jeff. What's your favorite
swinging that
planet?
magic stick there. But the pitching rotation still is sketchy. It is a pretty good word for that because I would go worse than that, but whatever. We still haven't yet to find a few consistent arms on the mound, and Freed just went on a 10-day DL. So, yeah. So what looked bad is gotten worse. So Cole Hamels is scheduled.
Wait. Before we move past Freed, what happened to that boy?
I just saw it pop up that he hits the 10-day DL, but he's eligible to return. I think it was his shoulder.
I wasn't clear on exactly what happened to him, but they put him on 10-day DL. Hopefully, his shoulder or whatever, his arm is feeling better, and he'll be back to full health. But
I think I heard that's equivalent to 2 starts. I think Snit was like he's not very worried.
Could be
Depends
one
on-
or two.
Yeah, it depends on how they rotate.
So yeah, that's the guy who's been balling, who's actually been consistent is down for a few days, which it's 2020 for Brave fans. It's another Soroka goes down and now Freed, but fortunately
blows up.
Yeah, but I'm not as much worried about him. But
Nobody was surprised.
Yeah, it was like, but at least at least it doesn't look serious. Hopefully, like I say, he comes back from 10-day and he's back to normal. So until we can get Cole Hamels in, who I've heard a lot of good things about him doing his like pitching mock games and whatnot. They said he's looking pretty good and had no incidents, no like soreness in his arm or anything. So that sounds pretty good, which means he might be back potentially at the end of the month or so.
Apparently, they're not going to grease him up either. They're just going to let him come straight into the pros and not have to go and waste some time.
To the alternate training site in Gwinnett.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know if you have any other choice, though. I mean, we are that desperate for pitching.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
Why, I understand why you're worried about starting pitching, right? But we're scoring 10 runs a game. Now, it's not as bad as when the Rockies lost 25-3 or whatever.
3, yeah.
But I mean, we're winning games. It's 11-10, right? But we are 7 games over 500 right now, and currently losing to the Marlins, which makes me really mad. So, how worried are you actually about the starting? Because I was at the beginning of the season, I was the guy that was like, "Yo, our starting pitching is ass," and the offense is going to have to chase, and we can't keep it up. But we've kept it up. We haven't had very many dry spells. We'll get to games where it's 5-0 in the 4th, and then in the 5th it'll be 9-5 Braves, and everyone's like,
yeah.
So how worried are you actually about the team? Because it looks like the offense is good enough. The lineup looks good enough that they could bully their way through at least the rest of the regular season.
Here's the crazy thing too: is Ozzy's not even back yet.
Yeah, we've got Echeverria.
Yeah,
and
who's been
Camargo has been struggling big time, but I think we DFA'd Culberson.
Yeah.
Discount Dansby.
Yep.
Yeah.
One
but
love.
which I mean, I don't understand that move considering Albies isn't back yet, and he does give you kind of a versatile infielder. So,
I think I think the Braves at this point are not going to win any games with defense, right? Their game plan seems to be everybody hit the baseball over the wall, right? Because you're not making really, with the exception of Ender Enciarte, right? You're not making defensive moves in the lineup. It's just
Camargo, him and Camargo.
Right, but sort of Ender's the only starter that is hitting below 200 right now. He's at 198. But Ronnie's at 271. Dansby is at 299. Freddie's at 314. But it looks like most of everybody's at the mid 200s, which tells you that they're not swinging for contact. They're swinging for Freddie Freeman had 2 grand slams in 2 days?
Yeah, his first one of his career and then one 2 days later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all good and dandy, right? Until you get into a series, right?
Right.
That's really the biggest concern is the playoffs, because the biggest thing that worries me is we wind up pulling the Dodgers first round.
That's it. That's the end of that.
Yeah. Whose offense is just as potent, and their pitching is
they have 3
crazy.
Studs.
So it's that's really why I'm concerned, because at least if we have 3 or 4 reliable arms starting and we're not always in a 4 or 5 run hole every game, which if the bullpen gives up any runs, that's even more pressure. If Luke Jackson comes in the game, then they're going to score at least
Action Jackson.
So, like I said, it's one of those things. If you can reduce the damage to start the game, your lineup like if you can hold teams, the starting pitching can hold teams to one or two runs, then you legitimately
3.
Yeah, I mean you're golden with the offense, with our offense, and especially as hot as they've been. But
we
when
just
you're
beat the
giving,
shit out of the Nats, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
Like, did we sweep them?
No, we split.
We
yeah.
split. Okay, but the Nats have got a really dominant pitching staff right now. Or right, they carried over a lot of the World Series winning staff, right?
Their pitching's great. It's just their hitting hasn't been nearly as consistent.
Right, but that's
Lost
really
all their
what you
power.
right. Well, that's what you've sort of got to compare it to, right? Is like our hitting versus the best pitching staffs that we see during the season.
Yeah.
And one of them is Washington. The other one is New York, which we didn't do too well against the Yankees at the beginning of the year. I think we get creamed by the LA. I think we just get smoked by LA. I don't know if we've played them.
Oh, you're saying if we played them, gotcha.
Yeah.
Looking like their year.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking about this. If the Braves win the series this year, like it counts. And if anybody else does, it's an asterisk. I'm going to go ahead and say if the Dodgers win, I'm okay with them keeping it because the Astros cheated.
Still not a representative season. I need 100. I need 102 games. I need 102 more regular season games for y'all to prove that you're that good.
So, Micah, let's say you're Alex Anthopoulos. I can't do it. I can't say his name.
Double A.
Let's say you're double A, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're dealing with you see like Soroka comes up and you're like, damn, Mike Soroka's good, injured. And then Mike Fultonevich is like, damn, Mike Fultonevich is Mike Fultonevich. And then Max Fried, you're like, damn, Max Fried is injured. And you look at Tukey and you're like, and you see all of your starting pitching go down, and your hopes are really hanging on Soroka and Fried being what they have been in the early part of the season down the stretch after injury. And Cole Hamels skeleton still knowing how to pitch.
There's no chance.
Soroka's done.
Oh, is he done for the year?
Yeah, he tore his Achilles.
He tore his Achilles. Yeah.
Oof. I think I missed that. I haven't been paying attention to baseball, if we're being super honest, except for bits and pieces. So like if you're double A, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you really try for the rest of this season? Or do you just use it as reps for your bats and build up trade capital for the offseason? Because, baseball teams think in the way long term, way more than like an NFL team does, right? Like their windows are way longer. So do you think that this is sort of is this sort of the year where we get our hitters moving and we build up some trade capital so that in the offseason we're like, and I'll take you, and I'll take you,
I don't think that's the case. I believe, I think, what was it, Liberty Mutual, whoever owns us?
Liberty Media.
Yeah, they're very cheap. Now, granted, they've said they're willing to spend a little more money than usual, but they're still cheap. We're not matching like Yankees and Red Sox payrolls. But I think what we could do, I think we could compete because, like I said, when Fried comes back healthy, he looks great. He's looked great so far. If he comes back 100% healthy, then he's a ace. Then Ian Anderson came up and was everything that we expected him to be in the minors. So that gives us two really good pitchers. Now, if Hamels comes back and it just gives you something close, something close to what he,
for 6 innings in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, then your offense, like I said, your offense is good enough to carry you, but you need at least 3 solid arms. Right now, it looks like we have 2. So, can Cole Hamels be that guy that can, just get us over the hump to win a series or to help us get through a series or two? Because I know Erlin and what's the other guy?
There's a few of them that are just trash.
Yeah,
Kyle Wright was pitching tonight, and he got shelled for 5 and 4 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what about the chance that Fulte comes back? He went to the alternate training site in Gwinnett, and obviously cleared, the DFA process. Have we heard anything about maybe trying to, because when Fulte's on, he looks really good. The problem is that he's only on 20% of the time.
Well, they've complained about ever since he had, I think it was bicep surgery or something like that. He's just dropped weight, and with his weight, the velocity is gone. I do have some friends who are closely tied in the organization, and a lot of them have said he's starting to put the weight back and the velocity's coming back. So, I haven't necessarily found anything online to necessarily support that, but these are people who I know are closely tied with an organization. So I trust their word on what they said. So if he can come back, then potentially, I mean, it could be a good thing, especially if he gets his velocity back. If he's throwing mid to high 90s again, because that was really the biggest problem when this year, I mean, he was struggling to hit low 90s.
Right, and he's a fastball guy. He's not like a technique guy.
He got the stuff.
Yeah,
right.
When your reputation is you normally hit close to 100, and you're throwing 89, 90, it's like, yo, something's wrong, bro. Yeah, just that's your whole game is it'd be like the big arm quarterback with the shoulder injury and can't throw the ball more than 30 yards. I mean, you would have to change your entire game.
Cam Newton last year.
Cam Newton. Has he tried hitting the lob? That's a rookie of the year reference.
Yeah. Float it.
You like that one?
Nice.
Is it weird to anybody else that like when we just said that Fulte's been dropping weight, I just had like Chadwick Boseman flashbacks. Because he was losing all that weight, and
everyone was mean to him, and now here we are again.
Bullied him, and now he's dead.
But Fulte is gaining weight, right?
Right, but that's what I was saying. When Mike was like, he's been losing all this weight, I was like, oh no, stressing me out, man. Jackson just watched Black Panther the other day, by the way.
First time.
Yeah, he was. We've been really slow in letting him watch the Marvel movies because they're like very realistically violent and like tonally mature. So we've been like holding off on it. But when Chadwick Boseman died, we were like, okay, you can watch it. So we watched Black Panther with Jess the other day, and he's been trying to do like the accent when he's playing with his action figures, and it's very funny. I'm not going to try to repeat it. I'm not going to air him out like that. But anyway, okay. So on the offensive side of the ball, Micah, here's something that longtime Braves watchers will know what I'm talking about. Ozuna looks really good, right? Which isn't really a surprise because we've watched him with the Marlins for a while. He was really steady. Yeah, and then the Cards. He's always been pretty reliable, but he looks like big time MVP type of player right now. Which I still like. Part of me is like, yeah, great because he's on my team, but the other part of me is so used to hating him that like I have a problem with it, So, do you think this Marcell Ozuna that we're getting right now is actually Marcell Ozuna? And because he's in a lineup that's like more talented than from top to bottom than any lineup that he's played in for the rest of his career, and he's just feeling rejuvenated by that, right? Or because he's protected up and down the lineup, right? Or do you think that this is our Ben Sheets for the year, right? That like old player on his like 15th team that we get that he it's usually a pitcher for us. Right, it's been a pitcher for us for the last few seasons. We'll come in, he'll pitch really great for like half the season, and then his arm explodes. Right, Bartolo Colon. Right, is Ozuna actually this good, or is he Bartolo Colon?
I actually think he's this good. He showed a lot of glimpses in like Miami, and at times he was good in was St. Louis. But that elbow injury did kind of cut his swing because you can't swing as hard with the elbow. And like I said, he couldn't throw. It affected his swing. I think now he's starting to get back healthy. And not to mention like the protection he's got in the lineup. And I think we have a lot of young, fun talent. And it looks like he's just having a great time on the field. And, that's when I think that a lot of stars shine the most when they're just kind of go back to like when you're a kid and you're just having fun out there and playing the game that you love, and that's what it looks like. So as long as he can continue to have those kind of like fun, like energetic, like love for the game, I think he could be great. I would at least try and lock him up for a few more years.
So you think, like, since he feels empowered to just go ahead and let it rip instead of feeling like he needs to manage his at bats somehow.
Well, the last time he was out there swinging this hard and, was really this protecting, we were actually talking about this the other day with our dear friend Robo. He was in a lineup with Giancarlo Stanton and Kristen Yelich as well. We're on that Marlins roster with him. And he was out, I think that was his 3,700 plus RBI season. So he can do it. I mean, the guy, that elbow injury was definitely undersold for how bad it was. Because, I mean, I don't know if you remember when he was with the Cardinals, he had that neon yellow sleeve on that whole year. It's just because his elbow was shot. And, man, I'm telling you, especially if you get tendonitis in that inner tendon there, man, that'll ruin everything. I remember when I got that for like a year or two. And I went from being able to throw it on a rope from the outfield to home plate to I'll hit my cutoff man every time now. Like it saps your power. Yeah.
Well, and like the Marlins lineup when Ozuna was there was Yelich and Stanton as, MVP candidates. Yelich sort of in the shadow of Giancarlo Stanton there for a little bit. But that was really it. And Ozuna, who was like...
They had Riamolto, too, as well, the catcher. I mean, they were loaded, man. They were absolutely loaded.
See, I always remember seeing them and going, oh, okay, if we can get past their starting pitching, then...
Yeah, I mean, they had the talent. They just weren't the household names yet. And then they left the Marlins, and then Yelich went to the Brewers and became an MVP candidate. Stanton went and become, the king of New York, and now
went to the
Ozuna,
Yankees and fell off.
It's funny that Stanton went to the Yankees, and everyone's like, he's the king of New York, and then Aaron Judge is like, je m'excuse.
Smash ball.
Me big, 99. Love Derek Jeter. Is Marco frozen, or is he just really still?
Hey, Marco. I think he's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm glad that he wasn't just like...
He's winning the blinking contest.
Thanks, Micah. Thanks for the baseball update. I appreciate it.
I've been trying to keep up as much as possible.
And there he goes. What is going on? We have the strangest podcast tonight.
Unless he's got Comcast too. I mean, it could just be a Comcast thing.
I got Comcast.
I'm AT&T over here, so
I'm going to be AT&T fiber when we move into the new crib.
Welcome
we can't. We don't. That's not available in my area, so unfortunately,
it's not available in mine either. Except in this new development across the street that we're moving into, they're like, yeah, so we have AT&T for the internet. It's like, bonjour.
I'll take two, please.
You have the fiber? I was trying to tell my mom. I was like, yeah, so we're thinking we're going to get AT&T fiber at the new house, sort of like you guys. My mom was like, I don't have AT&T fiber. It's like, yes, you do. She's like, I don't think so. I was like, let me run a speed test really quick. So then I speed tested her, and like from her Google Wi-Fi upstairs, I was getting like 750 down. I was like, you have fiber.
In case you didn't know.
Because the AT&T, number one, because I helped you set it up, and number two, because AT&T's speeds go from 60 megs to a gig. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in between. There's no like 100 meg, nothing. No, it's so. My mom was like, "Oh, I guess I do have fiber."
Oh,
she was also like, "I think something's wrong. I changed my HomePod password." I was like, "What? That doesn't mean anything." And she was like, she opened a PDF in an email that said it was from like a telecom company, but it was like sparrowcommunications@gmail.com. And I was like, and she opened this PDF, which was like a bill for some girl in Nigeria. And so my mom's had her identity stolen a couple times. Like someone's got her social, someone's got her address, someone started an Amazon account using her Amex card. And she was like, it's so weird. I've been getting these things that I didn't order from Amazon in my house, but they're addressed to me. I was like, someone has stolen your credit card number and has started like, you need to cancel that card and get a new card.
Yeah.
Whatever. So she opened this PDF and I was like, Mom, did you look at the email? It's from Gmail. If they're an internet provider, they'll have their own domain. I have my own domain and I just sit in my room. She's like, well, I was just thinking, I was like, this poor girl's not going to get her internet bill. It's like, Mom, did you Google it?
Like, why would she open it then?
Yeah, she was like, well, I was going to reply and say, this isn't the right contact information for this girl. It's like, it's a scam. So then I had to when I was over at her house yesterday, I ran a bunch of virus and malware scans. And she's got 4 Trojans sitting in her junk email folder on her computer.
Oh, wow.
I was like, did you open any of these? She's like, I don't think so. But I've also been replying to my phishing emails. So I'll either be like, I was doing the woo, do you want to be my friendo? I really need a friendkins sort of whatever. And then the other one, I was like, I hope you get butt cancer and your asshole falls off, you piece of shit. So I've been replying to my junk mail, and it's been really cathartic for me.
Check it out on the butt.
Welcome back to Fishing Grits, the podcast. Marco's back. Hi, Marco.
Did we take a break when my internet went out?
No, but I think, we were talking about some stuff. Okay. Please edit out all this stuff about my mom's tech problems, just in case she decides to listen. I don't think she will. I'm actually going to have to dip out so I can go help with the putting the babies in bed load. So I want to give my nomination for loser of the week. It's the Trump boat parade people. I want to give what's my lightning round? What's the lightning round question?
Oh, Micah, it's your family thing.
Oh yeah. So if you were in what TV sitcom family would you be a part of?
Oh,
we waited for you specifically on this one.
Oh, this is a good one. So it'd have to be rich, but they would have to not have a sexual abuser as the dad. Cosby Show's out. There's no way it's not Fresh Prince.
Oh man,
that's a good one.
There's no way it's not Uncle Phil. Come on, man. I would be hanging out with Jazz all the time though. Or I would be the guy telling Carlton, I'm like, listen, you ever heard of Chris Paul? You're the next Chris Paul. It's gotta be Fresh Prince. It's either Fresh Prince or a Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
They seemed like they really had an encouraging, loving family dynamic there.
And a creepy neighbor.
Would you be an addition, or would you be replacing one of the kids?
I would be Jonathan Taylor Thomas, because let's be serious. All he did was be cute to teen girls, and then played Kid Simba, and then disappeared.
Pretty much.
It's so much money off of The Lion King that no one's heard from him since.
Did you know the guy from Smart Guy? The guy from Smart Guy sang all of Simba's songs. Did you know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Matthew
Jason
Broderick.
Weaver. Yeah.
Matthew Broderick was adult Simba.
Right.
JTT is still worth $16 million.
Yeah, I'm in on it. We watched the new Mulan.
Oh yeah.
So you paid $30 for it?
Yes, I have 2 kids. So it's going to be free on Disney Plus in December. Yeah. So we watched the new Mulan. It was pretty fun. There were some pretty good fight sequences in there. Some of it was really funny. At the end of it, Jet Li plays the Emperor, which is pretty dope.
Jet Li, I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, and he's got a fight sequence. And then Donnie Yen plays the commander of the army that Mulan joins. And some of Donnie Yen's sword play that he was doing he was teaching them how to do sword fighting. They had to slow it down. They had to play it in slow motion because it was so fast that no one believes. Donnie Yen is the fucking shit. You haven't watched any Donnie Yen movies, like he's the shit. But you know, they did stuff like running up the wall, like Eat Mania. It was pretty dope. But afterwards, Violet walks into the kitchen. Like Jess and I are like cleaning up like the dishes, whatever. Violet walks in the kitchen. She's got her head held high. She's got her chest out. She goes, "Family, I believe in myself." She turns around, struts out. We were like, okay. And then the next day, she's got these like Mulan swords that I got her for her birthday. No, maybe Christmas last year. That's just like these plastic swords. She's got both of them, and she's chasing Jackson around, like hitting with them.
Was there
kill the bad guys?
Was there music in Mulan? Did they like do the musical thing again?
That's what I was going to ask. Is did they do "I'll Make a Man Out of You"?
They played bits of the original score. It was not a musical, but they played bits of the original score in the background, and then they incorporated lines from "I'll Make a Man Out of You."
Let's get down to business.
Into the
that's my second part of that is
the Huns.
You're the
that's my favorite
bunch
Disney
I've ever met.
song ever. Like that.
Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
Donny Osmond sang that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. B.D. Wong played the speaking voice for Shang, and Donny Osmond did his singing voice.
That is a great song.
Do y'all have a favorite Disney score ever? Like a song?
I just can't wait to be king.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But really, Pocahontas, probably, The Color of the Wind is probably the best.
Color of the Wind is probably the best one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's really good.
I mean, it's very good. Yeah.
Amazing song.
Anyway, so my rec. 2 years ago 3 years ago in July, we lost Chester Bennington, and on October 24th, it will be the 20th anniversary of Hybrid Theory's release, Linkin Park's seminal first album. 20 years, Ryan. So they are doing a bunch of merch stuff on their website, but one of them is the Hybrid Theory 20th anniversary edition, which you can order, and it comes with a new song. It comes with remastered demos from when they were called Zero. It comes with the entire Hybrid Theory album and the entire Reanimation album, plus all of the B-sides and stuff like that. I also found it on Apple Music, so you don't have to order it if you don't want to.
They can keep the Reanimation album. That album sucks.
That shit was fire.
No, bro, that's what made me stop listening.
Charlie Tuna guesting on that?
Mr. Han. That was it.
Man, Marco.
I've heard the Zero demos though, and those aren't that good either. But that'd be cool. It's cool, nostalgic material.
You were like 4 when this album came
Why
out.
does it feel like night today? Something in here is not right today. Why am
I don't appreciate this slander, especially from somebody who like does astrology in his spare time. So
astrology? What? Linkin Park was my favorite band for like until I found out Sum 41 was better.
That'd be like saying
I've tried to quote Nickelback songs to Jess every day for the last week, and it's been going really well. And she hates it. This is why you remind me. And then she'll look at me and I'm like, oh, what I really am.
Never made it as a brown man.
The Canadian her can't resist.
I was also listening to Creed a lot over the weekend.
Oh,
Can you take me higher? Yeah, so good. All right, I'm gonna dip. I'm gonna put the baby to bed. One love to you guys.
All right, peace, man.
Only one though.
all right, man.
2 love.
You got to split it.
Oh, I was trying to hit that leave meeting.
Hold on, do it. I got you. That works.
There it goes.
When I leave, come together like butt
cheeks.
Okay.
Hey, Marco, it's
so
jelly time.
What'd you say?
It's jelly time.
Jelly. So look, I don't know what's over my internet. It keeps on like barring me down. I don't know what's going on, man.
Bro, I'm in the same boat.
It's okay. If you both leave, I'll just do the podcast by myself.
I'll do the mobile hotspot on my phone.
So beep, 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 beep. It is the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint.
We got another one now.
So, for our first topic of discussion in this NBA segment, families are now in the bubble. And before I get to this part, I just want to say Jimmy Butler is the realest player ever because he was like, fuck it. This is a business trip, no family, no kids. Y'all stay at home. But just to put that on the note, LeBron, on the other hand, just said, fuck the kids. and he left them at home and told Savannah to join them. I'm pretty sure we have a good idea of why this really occurred that way.
He tried to sell it, man. He was like, my kids, they have too much going on. Like they wouldn't have fun down here. And I was like, right.
At Disney World.
Yeah. They certainly wouldn't have fun.
They'd hate that being freaking paradise for pretty much like a guy paradise.
But I guess if they are like LeBron's kids, there's like, you have everything you want. So maybe Disney World would be boring.
I would still love to go to Island of Adventure.
Right.
My question is, are they allowed to go outside and into the parks?
So. I don't think so.
Oh, so then they'd be bored as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still understand. It's because I feel like I almost wonder like when the wives and stuff come, they're basically staying in their rooms with the players, right? or do they keep them somewhere else?
They're allowed to. They have family suites.
Okay, they're in their family suites. Okay, because I know I saw Fred VanVleet's little kids running down the hallway, so I figured that they must be in the hotel rooms. But it'd be funny if the players were like, "No, well, y'all, I'll see y'all tomorrow." Just go back to that.
All right, bye guys.
Bye. So anyway, that's what's happening in the bubble. The families are there, the kids are there. It's a little extra incentive for the players to get hype, and as if they needed one. You went to a freaking bubble to play basketball. But since the families are in the bubble and many of the players' children have joined them, the NBA set up a bubble school in the resort. Really?
Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, whoa, that's cool. They literally have learning environments for the children. They said as soon as this was brought up, some of the players were like, hey, look, the time we're planning to do this, kids are going back to school. And I can't leave my kids here if I'm going to be in the bubble. Like, how are we going to do this? So the director of the medical training, I think that's what his title was, for the NBA was like, all right, I'll take this on. And so he set up classrooms for him and all that type of stuff. And it's really cool. It's literally
they do digital learning and stuff.
Yeah. They have they set them across, they're spaced out, obviously, and they have their tablets and all that type of stuff, like high-end stuff, obviously, because it's sponsored by the NBA. They're small classrooms. They're for the little kids, like they're doing like a Montessori style learning environment. So they have like theme days. And they learn in ways that are really good for children.
Towards their actual school. So are they like plugging them in with their actual schools?
Yeah.
Or is this just a whole different, like you say, the Montessori type of learning environment where?
Yeah. At that age, it still all counts. It'll count as their grade.
Okay, that's pretty.
But the kids older than that are doing their actual learning, their lesson plans, but they give them tutors instead of so.
The NBA goes all out to make sure their players are happy. I swear.
Man, I'm telling you.
they do everything.
NFL's like, fuck y'all. What's the brand?
Right.
Like,
y'all ready to play
tomorrow?
Right.
Y'all figure it out. But y'all are coming, right? We got a game in San Fran in like 3 days.
Right.
No team planes anymore.
Right. Like, I don't want. Y'all get some COVID tests? Like, what? So class sizes range from 6 to 12 children between the ages of 3 and 7. There's a private tutoring for children outside of that age range, like you just said, Montessori style, hands-on activities. So these kids are about to be advanced. Children are tested daily still, as is everyone on the campus. Probably the safest school in the nation at the moment. That's an understatement. Right. So the players continue to be extremely insulated, extremely safe, and the NBA gives all the fucks that they have about these players and all their wants and needs, even to anything but becoming an owner. But we'll set up arenas for everybody to vote, and it's amazing. Okay, so on to the actual games. The Bucks managed to sneak out an overtime win in Game 4 despite losing Giannis to another sprained ankle. I believe he sprained the left and the right, right? It was and I, I'll just say right there, like until that man learns to do something other than the Euro step, like he's bound to continue to get hurt. Like you can't just Euro your way to win every game. Like it's like you're trying way too hard. You need something else in the repertoire. So the Heat currently lead the series 3-1. At the moment they're actually up, I think like maybe
by 4 with
by
2 minutes left.
Game 5's tonight, 6:30, currently underway. Giannis was ruled out, but he has embraced the role of cheerleader quite well. He is on the sideline, the tallest cheerleader I've ever seen. So in that game, like you said, Giannis only played 11 minutes but had 19 points. Euroed his way to a tough 19.
He was balling.
Middleton, 36, game-winning 3 in overtime. Bledsoe had a surprisingly good game despite being terrible. Bam, 26 and 12. Butler, 17 points. Right there, you can sort of look at Butler for the reason they gave up that loss. And Duncan Robinson went off with the threes. He had sort of been struggling, but he finally chipped back in with his incredible three-point stroke. So, like I said, it's 4. I don't know. Maybe we should maybe not sort of pontificate on what's going to happen, but we all pretty much agree Miami has this thing in the bag, even if Milwaukee manages to pull out a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on to the next one. The Lakers being pushed to limits by the small ball Rockets barely escape a game 2 after having a 21-point halftime deficit. Turned into a 2-point deficit by the end of the third quarter. Westbrook is a self check. At this point, we're at a point where we can't trust Westbrook to bring the ball down the court anymore because it's an automatic turnover. Is it the COVID? What happened to Westbrook?
I think he's just being exposed when he's not being allowed to just get out there and wing it.
Yeah.
He can't. He doesn't have, and this has always been my problem with Westbrook. Physically, the man is one of the most gifted players the NBA has ever seen. He's up there with D Rose. But between his ears, man, it's just not there. He doesn't make the right basketball plays.
Ever.
He's that guy. He's that guy that's 100 miles per hour and running out the gate. But it's like, bro, slow down a little bit and think about what you're going to do. No. I'm gonna run through this brick wall.
So much faster than everyone. Watch.
But the biggest issue now is that he's almost like lost a step. So and then look at the stat line. So he was 4 for 15 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. Why the hell is Westbrook shooting 7 3-pointers?
Because the Lakers literally would allow them to sit on one side of the floor, and then he would space on the wing, and they would sag off.
Right.
And they were like, if you drive, we'll collapse. But we'll give you the wide open 3. It was Josh Smith defense, basically.
Right. And even when they collapse and he has a chance to dish it, he's airmailing it or throwing it straight to the Lakers. So I don't know, man. Westbrook is ridiculous. And it's incredible. It's funny watching the Rockets play and they're like their little style of offense, which is like swing. And it's like no matter what, they're always in a game. But it's almost comical to see that continue to work.
Well, it was like I was talking to one of my coworkers about it earlier today. I said they were fortunate to get past Oklahoma City, and it was because as bad as they were in that fourth quarter, Oklahoma City was just as bad.
Oklahoma City panicked.
Chris Paul said, those are the moments he lives for, but Chris Paul did not. He played his worst basketball in the biggest moment.
And they were talking so good about him in those minutes leading up to that. They were like, oh, he's the clutchest player in the league this year. Bruh. So clutch.
But the funny thing was, Oklahoma City would miss the basket. Russ would get the ball, run the floor, drive. It's 3 people in the lane, and he's trying to lay up over like Steven Adams and 2 other guys. I'm like, dude, You've got Gordon on the wing. You've got PJ Tucker on the other wing. Both of them have been lighting it up this game. and you choose to try to shoot over 3 people.
He's like, it's like going to the rec center in 2K, Micah. That guy's like, I'm laying it on everybody. I've got a slasher.
I'm a dunk on this whole team. This
Right.
7'5" center is about to get dunked on.
Right. So the series is currently tied at 1-1. And sort of what I've said is true. I feel like the Lakers are vulnerable just because of the fact that they can't shoot, right? But they did what they were supposed to do in that second game, and they dominated the paint, unlike the first game. And it seemed like if they continue to do that, it's a pretty easy recipe to get a win. Go ahead, Ryan.
What they've done, well, the big adjustment what they did in game 2 was take their centers out. They've allowed Kuzma to play more. They've said, you know what, you're going to put PJ Tucker at center. Well, hey, guess who we're going to put at center? LeBron.
Right.
Have fun, PJ Tucker. You thought this was going to be sweet? Watch this.
Now chase him around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and AD, what you gonna put Harden on AD?
I feel like AD is also like AD is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but AD is sort of like a self check too. It's like I've never seen like a damn near 7-footer fade away so much on jump shots. Like
that post fade he
fading
has
away?
is usually money though.
It's money, but it's like he's a big. It's like
Well, I mean, he played, but growing up as a point guard, he has a lot of that guard in him. So he plays, like I said, step backs, turnarounds. Now, granted, he's pulled off some of the dirtiest turnaround jumpers I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
in like legitimate full 360 spin and just shoot it up. Like, damn, dude, you weren't even looking at the basket. You still. But I mean, that he when he shows up and shows out, they usually win. Well, they've won so far, but you know.
One big thing too, though, is the reason he can't really just sit there and drop step people into the paint and do those power moves down the paint is because he's 6'10", 250. PJ Tucker is 6'5", 250.
I know, right?
So he's like trying to move a boulder. He's like, ugh. What the hell?
With a terrible center of gravity on him. He's like,
Yeah, no one's moving PJ Tucker down there. That boy's
he's a rock.
Brian could.
Yeah, I mean, he's about the only one.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, Brian is like a damn Hulk, his damn self.
Yeah, right. I forget.
Built like Jerome Bettis, except taller.
Right. I had something to say about Westbrook and crew, but I forget what it was. So anyway, the series is tied 1-1. Game 3 is tonight. Any y'all got some predictions for how the rest of this series is gonna go?
Micah, you go for it. I'll go second.
To be honest with you, after the adjustments they've made, I say Lakers in 5. Possibly 6, but I think 5. I just think Russ is more of a liability than and I don't hate Russell Westbrook for anybody, but I think like we said, he's the guy that goes 100 miles and running but has no basketball IQ whatsoever. And in crunch time, he thinks of himself as a superstar, so he wants to take the game over, but he makes the absolute worst decisions down the stretch, and it often costs them. That's part of the reason why OKC couldn't get past the first round for years with him being the superstar of the team.
Westbrook does 2 of the things that your coaches always tell you not to do. He dribbles into the teeth of the defense when the rest of his teammates aren't there, so he has no bailout. So he lets the defense collapse on him, and then he leaves his feet to make passes all the time.
Every pass.
It's like, what are you doing, man? You give yourself one option. You got one out when you leave your feet, and you better make it your best option. Otherwise, it's a turnover.
LeBron has been owning that man. He's been swatting him every chance. Did you see that dunk on him?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. So what's your prediction, Ryan?
It's going 7.
7? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I sort of agree with that. What I was going to say, though, is that the Rockets went from a title contender with Chris Paul to just pure chaos. Like, that's just pure chaos with Russell Westbrook at point guard. But they were legit a title contender with Chris Paul, like a strong one. Now it's just like
Paul and Capella, man.
Yeah, Paul and Capella.
I think Russ allows them to play the speed that D'Antoni likes, the pace that he likes. But I mean, the lack of what they've lost in IQ between him and Chris Paul is just like, bruh. It's like, all right, is that pace and speed worth it because of what you lost in IQ? And now, granted, I mean, I didn't like Chris Paul in that situation because I think Harden had the ball so much that it took away from what Chris Paul offered you.
Yeah.
But I still think I'd rather have Chris Paul and his decision making over Russ and his, his running through walls and this super speed burst, his unlimited speed burst and energy. Yeah, so I mean,
Russell Westbrook is constantly holding down right trigger on his Xbox when he plays.
No energy, like no fatigue.
Just go. No finesse to his cuts, no nothing. Just go.
Right. So yeah, and just an update. Miami's pretty much
that game's over. 8 points with 12 seconds left.
So the Celtics thumped the Raptors in Game 5 as Lowry and Van Vliet continued to struggle against the taller defenders. 5'11", maybe. Is both of them like maybe that might be generous. So Van Vliet had 18, Lowry had 10, and I want to add the reason. Like it was a great, if you wanted to bet yesterday, it was a great bet to take Lowry the under on his points because he was at 20, and the night before he played like 46 minutes or something like that. Like they tried so hard just to get it to that Game 4, and they ran the tank. And speaking of dunks, OG Jaylen Brown came through and posterized that man, and he had an amazing game, 27, 6, and 3. I see Tatum's missing from this, so his game must not have been that great. Kemba had 21 and 7. So what do y'all think?
Tatum's just a line below.
Over in 5?
Yeah, next game, it's over. Game 6, it's over.
Tatum was 18, 10, and 4. Sorry.
It's just one line down. You're just missing it.
4. Okay. Just so not. But you agree 5 as well? Over in 5?
6. That was just Game 5.
What?
That was just Game 5. The series is 3-2.
Oh, my bad. Okay, over.
Yeah, I think Boston wipes them out in 6 in Game 6.
Right. It was an accident that they won 2 games.
Well, I mean, OG Anunoby was, I don't take a shot that I don't think I can make. Bruh, right. Like, here's the thing. You didn't have a choice. You couldn't think. You didn't have time to think. You just threw it up.
Right.
And you hit it. Don't act like, man, I'm confident. Like, bruh, there was no confidence in that shot. You didn't have time to think about it.
So now
just
I can predict.
Fire it up and hope and pray that it went in.
I can predict that. So now the Toronto Raptors are going to give OG a max contract, and then they're going to pair OG in.
He's a Raptors kind of guy,
right? No, but I want to give a lot of credit to Kawhi and just how amazing that feat was, because he literally took a team of G League/D Leaguers to an NBA championship, and that's understated because nobody wants to play in Toronto, and they literally have 6 guys on their team who were at one point in the D League or the G League. And that
Deuces Bucks.
Speaking of Kawhi, the Clippers block any chance at a comeback in the Nuggets in Game 3. My favorite team, the Denver Nuggets. MPJ obliterates Marco's favorite defender in Montrezl. Oh my God! Speaking of dunks, that was the dunk of the year. Oh my God! Trez tried to take a charge. That's whenever you see a dunk that you're like, that's not about to be a dunk, and then he just goes through.
He went, "Hey, Trezl."
Right. But in Mike Malone fashion, of course, he did not capitalize on MPJ's white hotness and didn't bring him back till maybe 3 minutes left in the game when it was already sort of out of reach. Jokic continues to dominate Zubac. Like the only player he really ever decides to go in on. Like every time he sees it. No, I'm for real.
Oh, in
Bro,
this
like,
game, you mean?
you think you said what?
You mean in the series?
No, I just mean period. Like you think I'm disrespectful when I call him soft. It is not because like you can have great stats and be soft. But if you look at their stat line, it was 10 free throws to 26. And that is why I call them soft, just because the way they play. They're not physical. Like a lot of times they go away from contact and as opposed to going towards it. And Jokic, like
They
I
do
said,
the Joe Johnson.
I'll say that again.
They do the Joe Johnson.
Yeah, the Joe Johnson. It's like Jokic though has been going hard at Zubac though. Like I mean, he had 18 rebounds in the other game. Like you don't get 18 rebounds being too soft. But he continues to thrive in the paint. He had a monster game again, 32, 12, and 8. My man Murray got shut down by playoff P. Playoff P, by the way, he actually led the team 32, 4, and 4, 5 for 7 from 3. And these coaches like Mike Malone and Doc Rivers to me like frustrate me a lot. Every time Paul Pierce.
He's had both of them.
Right. Paul George last year scored like 70% of his buckets off catch and shoot. They don't ever do that now. But every time he comes around the curl, like a curl and comes on to the edges, he's like 100% from 3. But somehow Doc Rivers always wants him to ISO at the top of the key. And I just don't understand that. I just don't.
That's that Doc Rivers system. That's how they operated. I mean, think about what
the big three.
Paul Pierce did, Rondo did. I mean, the only person they really did that up there for was Ray Allen. He's not going to ISO anybody.
Right.
Well, I mean, in his prime he could, at what 34, all he was doing was doing the Kyle Korver offense,
right.
just
run. But I just feel like it's like playoff P is the best when he catches and shoots, and I feel like there's a lot of like nowadays there's a lot of players like James Harden, Luka, that don't really do anything off the ball. It's like
off-ball skills are diminished in basketball all around.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Luka has to work so hard to score 40. He doesn't have to work that hard. Just like move.
But Luka in defense of that, Luka's not off ball often. He 90% of the time, 98% of the time he's got the ball in his hands.
I feel like it would take him to even a higher level and make the offense even better. Because I know you said that, they're the best offense of all time, but what does that mean when it's like you're a 6th seed? You know what I mean? But I mean to that, like I just feel like generally
I think that says a lot when you have 6th seed talent and you have the best offense of all time.
This is not like a shit on Luka, but I just think in general, like players who only play, like even James Harden. What did James Harden do the other day? Like he literally like he was out of the play, so he backed up to half court and just stood there. It's like, bro, just go to the corner and help your team space. Like, why are you just being terrible?
I think that's also part of the problem with this positionless basketball. Kind of, it's so many like 5-out systems. So you get a lot of people who just kind of stand around.
Yeah. And
you got one like dominant ball handler who's going to ISO a lot and create for other guys. Meanwhile, like 3 out of 5 guys are just kind of standing in the corner waiting for that one guy to create an opportunity for them to potentially get a shot. I think that's one of the problems where I see a lot of players in basketball now. It's just,
I just think
now granted, I think that would really work for playoff P or Paul George. Let Kawhi or Lou bring the ball down, have like Trezor or Zubac set that pick, and just like you said, have them curl to the 3-point line to the top of the key or something like that, and hit him at the top of the key and just let him do his thing. But I mean, that's not a traditional offense anymore. It's just ball handler, the big comes and sets the pick for me, you run pick and roll, and that's how it's a 2-man game essentially.
Right. But I just think like if you're great at something like James Harden and Luka are, they're great at ISO ball. You can only be better by adding things to your game.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what are y'all's predictions for this series?
Clippers Nuggets.
Yep.
I think Micah gave him a 5-game series at the beginning.
I said sweep.
Yeah, you said sweep. I'm going to give them 6. I think the Nuggets have showed enough to where they have enough talent. They have enough to expose the weak parts of the Clippers defense, but they're just not good enough to win it.
Right. So do you think they take the next game or the game after that?
I think they're going to take this one, and then from there, that's it. I think Kawhi is going to get mad. He's like, enough of this.
Boardman's going to hit his robotic switch.
Yeah.
Right. But pew pew pew, and that concludes Jelly Time.
Well, hold on. I want to say something because you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned Doc Rivers, and I've always felt like he is an extremely overrated coach.
Yeah.
I think he's been the benefactor of a ton of talent. And really he's a good motivator. He's a good manager of men. He can manage grown men exceptionally well. But as far as his schemes and what he does, his X's and O's, like his plays, I've seen him, and I'm just like,
right,
that's it.
Nothing special.
That's the stuff we ran in high school. What do you,
right.
like, that's it. So I mean, he's okay. But I think those systems are still there. You just don't see them as much because they don't have the talent. It's like Indiana runs a nonstop ISO motion offense all game long. Players are constantly moving. Miami runs a very good offense.
Yeah, they definitely do.
It's just when you get these stars, a lot of these coaches go, okay, I'll let you do it. But if you could ever get these coaches like a Phil Jackson and say, look, you're going to run my system. It's going to make you better, and it's going to make your job easier. Then that's going to happen. You just don't have a coach that comes in and can go, you know what? I get it. You're otherworldly talented, but I've got it up here. Let me help you out.
And that's the thing I say about MJ and Pippen. Like, Pippen was perfectly apt to be a number one on a team, right? But Pippen knew it was never his turn to score. Like, it was never his turn. And it's like, I wouldn't be that extreme because PG is a much more talented offensive player than Pippen. But I still think that if you accept the role of the guy who's always running, always curling, playing great defense, hitting open shots, you'll still get your 25 points a game, but you won't be taking terrible shots to get it. You know what I mean? Right. PG takes some of the worst shots. Like, he'll just dribble into a terrible shot. And I'm like, sometimes you make it, but in that Dallas series, it was really showing how inefficient he is as just a scorer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem is, like you said, you said a lot of the teams who have the coaches with schemes and stuff like that, they just don't have the talent to compete. Problem is, a lot of these like super teams are kind of like AAU squads, right, where it's just so much talent that essentially it's just, all right, I'm gonna score right here. Okay, next time down, your time to ISO and do your thing.
It's lazy coaching.
Exactly. You have so much talent, you just kind of, well, I don't need a system. We're so good that I can just, let
we'll figure it out.
One of y'all do. Well, I mean, even the funny thing was, I like Golden State better before KD than after he got there, because so many times it would just be, they would just defer to KD, just give it to him at the top of the key and just like kind of stand in the side and stand in the corner and just like, all right, do your thing. And he would back down, turn around, fade away, whatever, or however he did it, like whatever move he decided to do. But it was just like, bro, why are you playing so much more ISO ball? Then once he went down, it really changed how they played in especially that final series, because it was just like, all right, well, we don't, we're not used to, we're uncomfortable playing this kind of ball again.
Right. There's a certain thing, and I think basketball is the most affected by rhythm and momentum. I think once you lose that in basketball, like it's almost impossible to get it back in that game, and actually over the span of several games. And going into these ISO offenses where other players just sit, it takes them out of the rhythm. And so that's why obviously, basketball is a game of runs, but and most of the time you see it's like on fast breaks and things like that because the other team's just messing up because everyone but two players are ice cold from doing nothing. And then you get all these Twitter fingers out there. This guy's trash. It's like, well, yeah, he hasn't touched the ball in 16 minutes. Like, what's he supposed to do? But like, Micah, to your point, like the thing about the Warriors offense is it kept everyone in rhythm that whole time. Everyone touched the ball. Everyone was always, getting a shot at least, once every third possession or fourth possession. Someone is going to get an open look or they're just going to defer. But like when KD does that stuff, because he's a walking bucket and he was such a mismatch, it took players Clay had his games, but Clay really wasn't Clay that year because, it took like 20 of his touches a game away. So
and by the time it got to that end, they were able to get past the Blazers and that. But once it got to the finals, it sort of showed that the bench players had sort of become used to being underutilized, and they weren't able to step up and really contribute meaningfully.
Well, I mean, like when they won that first championship, the only person on that team who really didn't touch the ball on offense, and even when he did, he didn't really shoot, was Andrew Bogut.
Right.
But he knew what his role was. He was there to block shots, set screens, and maybe you get a lob up or a trash bucket, get an offensive rebound and
dump off on the
drive. But he knew if he got the ball in the paint, the biggest thing was draw the defense long enough to or draw at least one defender with all the motion, and kick it to one of your shooters on the outside. That was what he looked for. Like he might legitimately have a stat line where it was like 2 or 4 points, like 4 assists, and 8 or 9 rebounds. So it's like, all right, offense. I'm not a big part of the offense. I'm just here for a big body and a capable passer, and that was his role, and it worked perfectly for what they had. So I mean, I just. Yeah,
that's true. Even a big person impacted by KD was Draymond, because there was really no role for him to bring up the ball and set up the offense when it was really just all predicating to getting KD the ball in the high post or at the top of the key.
Yeah, that started the fight when Draymond didn't pass him the ball to bring it up.
So. Sorry, the sound effects were better the first time, but yeah, okay. We're on to the NFL now.
We're moving into the Blitz Grits. Wait, no, that's not right. The Grits Blitz.
The Grits Blitz.
Man, look, I don't know what it was about this past weekend, but a lot of players got broke off. Like a lot of guys got their contract extensions this week before. And I guess it's just, that typically happens, and I think back on it, like they'll start negotiations during the camp, but they spend most of their time on the field. And when camp breaks, you'll see a lot of those negotiations come to fruition. So you saw guys like Tre'Davious White get his extension, and I don't know if y'all saw his speech where he was talking. They asked him like, what does this extension mean to you? And he's like, look, I didn't tell him when I got drafted, but I'm able to tell my parents now, like we made it. Like you don't have to work anymore. I can. Like, this is generational wealth now. Like, I can take care of you. You can retire, because now football contracts are starting to get all this guaranteed money where these players deserve it, really, and more so in any sport than, like the toll on their body shortens their career so much that they need that guaranteed money, whereas basketball players can play 18 years like LeBron. Right. So that was really cool to see. What's his name? Kareem Hunt got a 2-year extension, which is cool to see.
Cleveland?
Yeah.
I'm wondering how are they just going to split carries?
That's what I was about to say is, they're definitely going to split carries between those two. But it's when I first saw that they Billy Donovan just got fired, by the way, just now. When I first saw it, I was like, oh no, they extended the running back. They already have him, but it was one of the smartest structured running back extensions I've ever seen, because in 2 years is when your Chubb is coming up out of his rookie contract. So they'll get 2 years of them together. They only pay him 2 years, $12 million. So it's 6.75 a season, which is a bargain for what Kareem Hunt offered you. And then you can then say, you know what, Chubb, it's your turn. But the big one, who is now the highest paid non-quarterback player in the league, D-Hop, just got broke the fuck off. He got I'll give you the numbers right here. It's a 2-year extension.
54.
Yeah, 54 and a half and 42.5 guaranteed.
Nope.
Now, D-Hop is arguably, like, he could, if someone were to come to me and say, there's a receiver better than Julio in the NFL, and if they were to open their mouth and say Michael Thomas, I'd slap him. But if they were to say DeAndre Hopkins, I'd consider it.
Right.
Because the man does everything. He blocks. He runs every single route. He'll go over the middle. And I saw a stat today. I was looking on his Twitter. I lost it. But from 2007 to 2019, they recorded consecutive catches without a drop. And, like, it was like Michael Thomas has like 112. A couple other players had like 100 and something like that. And then there's DeAndre Hopkins at 255. He's like doubled the next player. So, I mean, the guy is an absolute monster. Like, he's a beast out there. So he deserves it. I just don't like these guys who get out there and sign contracts and then turn around. Well, I just thought of something. He signed his initial contract right before all this guaranteed money came up. So I get that a little more than others, but he is certainly deserving of all that money.
Yeah, for sure.
The only thing is big paid wide receivers don't bring you Super Bowls.
Sure don't.
Now they got him locked up for 5 years, though.
Which is nice. That'll take him right through his prime and into the beginning of his decline. So
that'll be perfect though for that little dude, that little boy who be playing their quarterback. He could just throw it up.
Disrespect that man like that. Don't you disrespect. How dare you? You got mad about height shaming a couple episodes ago, and now here you are.
I didn't say anything about his height. I just said he's a little boy.
A little boy.
Yeah.
Right. Because that doesn't affect you when other men call you a little boy. That
Hey,
won't
man,
make you feel a certain way.
Unless you know about football, you don't know. It could just be that he looks young, or he's Doug Flutie like.
Yeah, because us being a sports podcast, we rely on most of our fans not knowing about football.
I'm sorry. Anybody shorter than me, I'm sorry.
Oh man, Marco. But in other news, actually, y'all remember the girls that said they went to the Suns hotel room and serviced 7 members of their team?
Yeah. The one chick who got sued for $20K and then her friend.
Yeah. So
Cynthia Powell.
Yeah.
Cynthia
Is
Powell.
that her? Was that her? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
her and her friend.
they continued their podcast. And actually that girl, to rewind it a little bit, since she got all that publicity about doing those certain acts, she was disowned by her parents.
Got a Listerine ad. No, just play.
Boy, you're on one tonight, Marco. She was disowned by her parents and then fired from her job, but her boss was her father. Yeah. They're Mormon. So
they're Mormon.
They're Mormon. So they bringing all this light to that community. Her dad was like, "Whoa, see you later. You're no longer our daughter. Get out of here." But she turned around and capitalized on that and made an OnlyFans and made like millions of dollars over a couple of days. And started their own podcast, which has now become like Thought Central for exposing athletes. So another woman came on and said, "You know what? I've done some really crazy things. I've sent pictures to guys who wanted to see me pooping, and I've had guys fly me out who said, you know what, don't shower for 24 hours, and then we'll come out and we'll have a good time." So it's come out that OBJ, we all know his skills have diminished here recently, so he's no longer really a number 1 receiver, but he's most certainly a number 2 receiver, as we've learned that he enjoys being defecated upon. Now, well, I'm sorry, allegedly enjoys being defecated upon.
Wait, so I was unclear in your text. He likes being shit on or shitting on?
being shit
No.
on.
Okay.
And everything I just mentioned about sending poop pictures and flying out while you haven't bathed for 24 hours were all allegations that she threw at OBJ. Yeah.
Well, we got any more to say about that?
Well, my question is going to be, what do y'all guys think about this trend that started about, having relations with these athletes and then using that later to expose them?
I personally think that, for instance, Cynthia Powell is a known clout chaser.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these athletes and rappers still mess with her. And she even has like videos of Snoop Dogg posted on her OnlyFans for like a couple $1,000s or something like that. So you got to put the onus on them. It's like you can't just let your
Them
man
being
downstairs.
the famous people?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't just let your man downstairs just decide in the spur of the moment just because this girl's here and wants, to be a part of you. You can't just invite her into the realm. But specifically on OBJ, that's not that surprising because there's been a lot of other allegations about OBJ, and it doesn't surprise me that he would get pleasure from women out of something other than sex.
So you're saying he's become bored, or you just think are you fetish shaming him, Marco?
No, I'm saying he likes dudes. Mike. Mike.
Okay. Didn't see that coming.
Wow.
Maybe delete that.
Yeah, don't worry. It was getting deleted.
Don't delete the delete.
I won't. I'm just going to delete that little 1.5 second blur.
Yeah.
I think, I do agree that it definitely, the athletes and celebrities in general, can be dumb and the onus should go on them. But at the same time, it still doesn't sit right with me.
It's gross.
That that people can do that, and like Superhead back in the day, she
OG
made so much money writing a book about all the sexual escapades that she had with all these celebrities and putting their beef out there, penis size and all that kind of stuff.
Pun intended.
And poor Shaq.
And it's like, but I think it's, some people have no scruples, or I believe that's
all these
the right
great
word.
puns.
but my thing is, it's like at a certain point, I don't believe people should be censored, but like when you legitimately are doing stuff like that constantly, it's like, all right, I don't like to listen to them. Like, I just want to kind of, all right, you're irrelevant. I don't care. Like, I think we just kind of need to stop caring what those type of people say. We're trying to air out people's dirty laundry all day.
Good luck in this era.
Wait a minute. Wait. So when you said, is OBJ really a number 2 wide receiver? Is that what you?
Yep.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great one. So I agree with Marco. I think you need to know who you're inviting over. But I also agree with Micah that it's just really gross that we've entered this era of, exposing intimate times with other people and intimate information. Like, I won't get into it too much, and I won't give names, but Nicole and I had someone that's close to us falsely share intimate information with someone else that barely knows us. And it's just like, what do you gain from that? Like, one, it's not true, not even close to true, but two, like, are you just there for like the entertainment value, or like, I have information?
Right.
I don't get that at all. I don't.
So I understand it on a clout chasing aspect, but when it comes to like social circles, I guess that's also a form of clout chasing, but it's more so it makes even less sense, right? Because it's like, what are you really getting from this by shitting on your friends? You know what I mean?
I mean, you'll get money. You'll get money from it, but eventually you're gonna get to a spot where nobody wants to mess with you.
What was that one girl that was really famous here in Atlanta? She was light
Cat
skinned.
Stacks.
Yeah, Cat Stacks. That's exactly her. And you saw her?
Well, she got deported.
Did she?
Yeah,
Did
she got. I think she wasn't from here. I think she was from like Colombia or something, and I think she got sent back
Venezuela.
to her home country.
Venezuela.
Or it might have been. Yeah, it might
I
have been that.
remember I met Cat Stacks once. She was with a dude named Maserati. I forget exactly.
Mike?
He was a rapper.
Maserati Mike?
I forget what it was.
I remember a Maserati Mike. That's about the only one I know.
Right. So I forget exactly what his name. It was Maserati something, and he was a pimp. And he actually I'm pretty sure that she was his because the way he was treating her was
She famously got. I mean, she took to social media a couple of times, like after being beaten, and like, look, this is what being a, what are they called?
an escort.
Other than a prostitute, whatever. This is what it's like, and help me.
Working girl.
Yeah, working girl. They have a name, but I forget.
I think Maserati ended up getting killed though.
I mean, you work in a dangerous business. You often pay the price for it.
Yes,
Anyway,
sir.
let's get off of this subject. This is not really our expertise or anything that we want to offer opinions on because we have very limited knowledge on it. Anyway, as we all know, and some of you listening may know, Leonard Fournette recently got cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars and then quickly signed, as everyone seems to be doing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. When he did that, people assumed he was going to take the starting role, which Arians has actually come out and said within the past 24 hours that Rojo is still their guy. Fournette will be used in a way that he kind of was in his early days at LSU as a goal line back, but essentially he has to earn it. But when he got there, he needlessly took a shot at his past quarterbacks. We know the Jacksonville Jaguars have been deconstructing their roster for quite some time, whether it be by players opting out and just never playing again, a la Telvin Smith, trading away Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, Calais Campbell. I mean, that defense was gross, and then the offense was budding. And then Fournette said, this is the first real time I've had a real quarterback that I can play with. And I didn't want to play against six-man boxes anymore because that's why I was being held back. Teams were just loading the box against me. Now, that is true in his first year when everyone thought Leonard Fournette was going to be the next great running back in the NFL because he faced a loaded box 47.8% of the time, which is a lot. I mean, teams knew that, Blake Bortles wasn't going to do anything to him, so they just stacked 6 or 7 or 8 in the box and said, run it. I dare you. Because if Blake Bortles beats us, he beats us. But that's not going to happen. But as his years in the league progressed, those numbers declined. So the following year, he faced it 39% of the time. And then just this last year, he faced it 34% of the time. And I think Leonard Fournette still thinks he's the premier back that he was in college. Excuse me. But the NFL quickly learned that Leonard Fournette is north and south, and that's it. He does not make anybody miss. He tries to run him over, but he doesn't get his pads low enough. So I'm not too worried about Leonard Fournette going to Tampa Bay, except for goal line situations because he's still a big guy and he still has pretty decent vision. But I think this is just a sign of a player still thinking that they are better than they actually are without actually improving their game at all and blaming it on his previous team, which typically is a sign of a player who's not going to go and succeed elsewhere.
Right.
What do you guys think about Fournette in Tampa?
You go first, Micah.
I mean, it could be a big thing. I don't necessarily agree that, Fournette, it isn't capable. I know he's been banged up quite a bit.
Soft tissue Fournette.
But I don't worry too much about it because I don't know if Bruce Arians will fully utilize running backs the way a lot of other coaches would. So I mean, he like last year. I know I had Ronald Jones in fantasy, and there were plenty of times where Ronald Jones would have a breakout game, and then the next game he'd miss like one blitz pickup and then get like 6 total touches. So it's like, oh, you missed a blitz pickup, you're not playing. And it's like, I understand that, but if he's really as talented as you think he can be, you need to get the ball in his hand and just continue to work on and push him to work on his pass protection instead of just taking it out of his hands. So I do think I think he could potentially be good for Tampa, especially with that offense they have. I think Brady's going he's going to like a big bruising back, like he's always liked big bruising backs. But I don't think he'll be fully utilized for what he can do. I mean, he's just going to be a red zone guy for most of the season, probably.
If Fournette was given the opportunity to be a starting back on a balanced team that ran the ball and gave him the opportunity, let's say he replaced Zeke for some reason. Well, this year's Cowboys, not Jason Garrett Cowboys. We just forgot Zeke existed.
This is going to be the same.
How many? What do you think his stat line? Like, how many yards do you think he could get?
I mean, I think he'd be just under Zeke, probably 1,100 yards, probably about 275 carries.
Even
probably.
Even after knowing that he has no elusiveness, you think he can thrive?
Well, I mean, Zeke didn't look very elusive last year either. Zeke was just a boulder. He was just a boulder running downfield, running downhill on folks. I think, like I said, now granted,
Zeke's pretty though.
Yeah, Zeke can make you miss.
Yeah, a couple of years ago he could, but last year coming back from Cabo, he didn't look the same. He looked a little bigger, a little bulkier, and he wasn't making people miss quite like he did in the previous years. So, and not to mention, I think Kellen Moore is the type of offensive coordinator who's I'm just gonna give it to you on first downs. And so you wind up in a lot of second and shorts, second and longs or second and mids. And then so you wind up throwing the ball a lot more. I mean, that's why Dak had more at one of the top 3 passing attempts last year. And
I feel like they were just trying to justify the fact that they're gonna have to pay him. And
I think that's part of the thing. But I think Kellen Moore thinks like a quarterback, so he likes to throw the ball. I mean, he did play at Boise State, which notorious for airing the ball, spread and airing it out. So, I mean, I think even if you put Fournette, I don't think his numbers would be quite as good as Zeke's. But I think, like I said, I think he could 275 carries, maybe 1,100 some yards, 40 to 50 receptions, possibly.
So I have a question. So in terms of those numbers that you stated for loading the box, on average, like what percentage do what is Ezekiel and Saquon facing? Because Saquon also is in a similar situation without a quarterback and still managed to mid-20s. Okay. So, I mean, I think Fournette, ever since Fournette was at LSU and he got hurt, I think that he got hurt in college and he came in the league and sort of is underwhelmed since then. But I probably believe that he will probably have his best season this year that he's probably had, mostly on touchdowns.
3 backfield, do you think so?
I think on touchdowns, he'll have his best touchdown season.
Yeah,
I mean,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
His yards might, will definitely be, diminished. But like I said, he's underwhelmed anyway. So I think he's going to come in and he's going to show people he's of value. And whether they hold on to him or not, I think this will set him up for maybe like one more contract because I think he'll look good. And I think it's almost to his benefit that they underutilize running backs, right? Because people are not going to blame him. They're going to be like, oh, it's the system. You know what I mean?
But I think y'all giving him more blame than I would in Jacksonville because you got to think his first 2 seasons were with Blake Bortles at quarterback. his rookie season was the year they went to the AFC Championship game, and he was the main feature on the offense. Next year they were terrible, and Blake Bortles seemed to regress. Last year they brought in Nick Foles, who was hurt who got hurt in game one, and you had a rookie in Gardner Minshew
experience.
So I mean, it was basically they haven't legitimately had a quarterback that teams respected to be able to throw the ball at all since he's been in the league. So I not necessarily stack the box against them. Teams have always looked to potentially stop the run first against them, because it's like they don't respect their outside weapons. And it wasn't until DJ Chark and Gardner Minshew had some kind of chemistry, developed some kind of chemistry last year, that you start to see, oh, wow, maybe they can throw the ball. So, and they really incorporated in the passing game last year. He caught 75 passes last year. So, I mean, we'll see.
What year did they go to the AFC Championship? 2017?
17. It was his rookie year.
10-6. How many yards did he have? So he went just over 1,000. Okay. I don't know. I think this is the beginning of the end of Fournette, but that's just me. In the world of pandering, EA has brought Kaepernick back to Madden. They provided him with an 81 overall rating, which isn't, I don't know if that's not even his last rating. I don't know where they pulled 81 out of, because when he left Madden, he was like in the 70s. But the worst part of it all, so Madden's always had the ability to celebrate when you did a big play or scored a touchdown. But this year, after each one, it brings up a wheel. And one of the categories is a signature celebration. And that's for players like Gronk, who has the Gronk spike, and then like Von Miller and his sack dance, and, whoever. But for Kaepernick, his signature celebration is raising his right hand in a fist for the Black Power fist.
Is it like the Rock fist, or is it more like a standing?
No, it's like the Jesse Owens fist.
Okay.
Now, the only way this would be okay with me is if they reached out to Kaepernick and asked him what his signature celebration should be. Nothing's really come out on that. But if EA did this on their own and they decided, you know what Kaepernick should do? This is it. That is
goofy.
So goofy, so corny, so just
So what is the context that they brought him back? Like the team that made it to the Super Bowl?
No. So he hasn't been on the game. Like they took him off the game because he hasn't been in the league for 3 years.
I'm saying, but what is he, like a free agent?
Yeah, he's a free agent. He's in the free agents class now, sitting as an 81 on this latest roster update, which I don't get because he isn't in the league. He still hasn't signed with someone. I don't get the timing. I don't understand the move. I don't get any of it. Can someone help me please understand?
Does Nike have any involvement with EA?
Mm-mm.
No,
I think it might have been what's the word I'm looking for?
Pandering.
No, it might have been a reaction to what the NFL did last year, where they listed him as retired on his player profile, and it might have been their reaction like he hasn't officially retired yet, so we're going to put him on the game. So, I mean, I don't know. Potentially, that's the only thing I can really think of.
Did they advertise it? Like, is that like one of the things that they sort of, or is it just something you sort of find upon going in there?
I mean, people just went, people scour Madden's rosters constantly, especially when they update rosters, they release it. They let you know that there's updates, and you can go to pages and see it. So,
yeah, they do it.
It's not going to take any
Thursday.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely some pandering, though, because he's way overrated. He should not be an 81 after missing 5 years of football. And his signature celebration should not be a Black Power fist, because I don't ever remember him really doing that on the football field.
Nope. And it's just so crazy to me. Like, when you have players like Keanu O'Neal, who have missed time because of injury, but when on the field have maintained a level of play. And you drop this man 6 points in overall rating. But Kaepernick, who has not played, and the last time he played, he did not look good. You keep him at 81? It's just like
go ahead.
I don't get it. I don't understand what EA was trying to do other than like, look, guys, look what we did for you.
You get it.
Yeah, I mean, I do get it.
Well, I think part of it was, now granted, we've had this debate on how good or how bad Kaepernick was many times in our private chats. I personally I think it was more of the team was just bad around him, and he wasn't as bad as necessarily a lot of people wanted to give him credit for. Partially because I think conservatives ran to that, oh, he was terrible, and I do not think that was the case. But I think ultimately it's one of those things. I guess they wanted to keep him in the game, but they also didn't want to. Maybe it's a statement that he's better than a lot of the backups and stuff that are still in the game. But I don't think they wanted to like put him in at like a 67.
He's better than 17 starters in Madden.
Yeah. I don't think they were making
there are a few starters that I do think he's better than. I don't know if I'd say that many. But yeah, there are a handful of starters that I could say I'd rather have Cap with the unknown than like old man Rivers at this point where his arm is. I might take a shot on Cap than Phillip Rivers with a dead arm.
So what I will say is that, obviously there's no like, they don't use that Niners team that made it to the Super Bowl as like a team you can play. But I'd say that 81 might be representative of him at his best, because I would probably say he was an 81 that season. You know what I mean?
When in that read option, no, he was probably close to upper 80s. Because I mean, he still wasn't accurate on the field. No, he wasn't.
Well, I mean, they legitimately came a drop pass away from winning that Super Bowl.
Yeah, and a blackout away, and then he blacked his ass out the league.
That was a couple years later, though.
Oh my God. Marco just like shooting from the hip tonight. Let's get off this. Let's get to what I really want to talk about. I'm sure most of us really want to talk about. So this last week, the Falcons dropped their official depth chart. And there's a couple of really cool things on the depth chart that I really, 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 really like. And there's a few things that kind of surprised me, but aren't really that surprising. So I'll go through it real quick. And there's like your staples in the lineup. So you got Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage in the slot, Hayden Hurst, Todd Gurley with Keith Smith as our starting fullback, Jake Matthews at left tackle, James Carpenter at left guard over Matt Hennessy, Alex Mack, Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry. So let's hit the offense.
Nasty.
It sounds like a really good, not too many surprises, but also, it could be lethal. The only thing that really surprised me, because you kept hearing it all camp and you saw all camp, was Matt Hennessy was taking all the snaps with the first team. All the offensive linemen were saying he was extremely skilled. He took to the offense very quickly. He picks up blitzes very well. He's now able to get out there and really call things out on the line. Jake Matthews really sung his praises as training camp ended. So it was expected that he was going to be announced as the starting left guard. And this really reminds me of last year when we announced Carpenter and Jamon Brown as our starting guards over Lindstrom. Sometimes it feels like we're a little scared to make those moves, or not we, Dan Quinn. is afraid to make those moves. He'd rather go with the experience there. Micah had a really interesting take on it that I'll let him talk about here right now.
With Carpenter.
With Carpenter, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, Marvin Williams, drafted by the Hawks, just retired.
Good.
Wow.
15 years he retired as a Buck. He is now done.
So my thing was Carpenter has experience. I think part of the issue with Carpenter and Jamon Brown last year was all the injuries we had, and there was so much rotation, which as an offensive lineman, like the more you move around on the field, it's hard to get comfortable. So like, when I played, I was a right tackle. So like my coming out of a stance, my left foot was back. So my first step was with my left foot. Well, tackle, it'd be the opposite. So if I'm comfortable on one side, and you get that muscle memory to do that step over and over and over again. Well, that big thing, when you keep moving offensive linemen, it changes how, it gets them out of a rhythm. That muscle memory, it keeps them from having that. Then you get the fact that, Jamon Brown was just terrible. But I won't defend him at all. But I think so. Ultimately, my thought was it might be better that let Carpenter have that left guard spot. Keep him at the left guard and let Hennessy just sit behind Alex Mack for a year and soak up and learn as much as he can, because there's a good chance Alex Mack will retire after this year. And which, I mean, and so at that point, if he retires after this year or we decide to release him due to his age, then we know Hennessy is kind of trained to step in and be the center, and then we don't have to worry about fulfilling that left guard because Carpenter's still under contract and we know he's capable of doing that left guard. So we just go from losing Alex Mack to plugging in another capable, very talented center, and it just completes an offensive line that we've already built up. So that was my idea on it.
Which makes sense. I mean, instead of having to move two spots around, you're preparing to move one. And the thing is, too, I don't even know if it's a guarantee that Hennessy's going to take that center spot, because remember, there was talks of Lindstrom doing it when we drafted him.
Yeah. But I think
sliding McGarry into guard.
I think Lindstrom has looked so good at right guard.
Yeah.
He
looks like a future Pro Bowler.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they want to move him. And I think McGarry will bounce back. I mean, between the injury and missing most of the preseason and the heart surgery and missing most of the preseason last year, and then, like I said, he faced some hellified pass rushers last year, and as a rookie, he got off to a bad start, and you started to see towards the end of the season, he started to get a little more get his feet under him a little bit more, and started to get a little more comfortable. And I think he'll continue to get better. And between him and having a consistent right guard in Lindstrom next to him, I think we could potentially have a very good offensive line for a while.
Yeah. Now, here comes the side of the ball that I'm actually most excited about, just because the offense is going to be the offense. You know what it is. And then if Gurley can step in and be, even it's like 75% of what Gurley was 2 years ago is going to be much improved. But the defense is where you have that dreaded P word. You have so much potential on this side of the ball. And if it comes together, it could be really, really good. So you've now got starting at your left end is your significantly lighter, about 17 pounds lighter, Takk McKinley. Grady Jarrett is your starting D tackle. Your nose guard is going to be Tyler Davison. Dante Fowler is going to be your other end. And then here's where it gets a little interesting. Typically, what you're used to, I'd say 5 years prior to this is your base set is going to be something like a 4-3, a 3-4, or something along those lines. Well, the Falcons have listed as their starting defender. Your starting two linebackers are Deion Jones and Foye Oluokun.
Oh yeah.
Your starting two corners are AJ Terrell and Isaiah Oliver. Now, if you're doing the math on this, you're like, wait, that's only 8 players, and we've listed our linebackers and our corners. Here's where it gets interesting. We list 3 safeties in our starting lineup. So that means 2 things to me. It means that Keanu Neal is going to be cycling down as a dime and nickel backer in this defense a lot more than he was in the past. And that's where he thrives. He thrives in the box. He's essentially going to be a linebacker, but listed as a safety. You're going to let Ricardo Allen still sit on the back end of the defense and make those calls. And then you're going to let KZ roam the center field. So what our base defense is really going to look like, and probably is not a nickel, but a strong nickel, because you're going to have 3 safeties on the field. Now, that to me means more speed on the field. And you have really in your secondary, your 3 best defenders on the field at all times. You have Kiki, you have Ricardo, and you have KZ, and you're optimizing their skills. You're not just trying to cycle them in like we have years past. You're saying, this is what you do best, and we're going to adapt to you.
Right.
And to me, I think that's a direct result of our defensive coordinator and Dan Quinn taking his hands off and saying, we run the 4-3 over, and that's what we run, and we're going to do that. I'm excited. I think it's similar to what we talked about earlier in this year of allowing Ricardo and KZ to do those things, but not too sure of how they're going to do it. And they're doing exactly that. They're finally making that adjustment to where you have your best players on the field at all times, and then you fill the other guys in afterwards. Now, also, when we do go to those nickel sets, you can always cycle Keanu back at that strong safety position, because Denard is going to lock down that nickel spot. Sheffield is who we thought it was going to be, but Denard had a hellified camp, and he's really been in there. So you've got some really good guys, even when coming out of your base, are going to step in. So the drop off isn't going to be that low. I'm happy. I'm happy with what this looks like. I know this is going on a lot of potential, but these are our best players, and we found a way to get them all on the field at once.
I wonder if they're potentially thinking about moving what's his name off the field. Potentially when we bring the Denard in, that we're going to move. What's his
what position?
Foye. Move Foye off, then plug in
Kiki over there.
Yeah, and so Keanu plays the linebacker with Dion, and I would actually like that though.
Yeah, I mean, you'd still keep Ricardo back there, you'd still keep KZ back there in pass coverage. Kiki's another player who's dropped some weight this year, so he's probably going to be even faster than he was, which is going to be good on his Achilles and his knees now. I don't know, man. There's just so, like, I know this is camp. I know there's always talk about camp, but, to see this lineup come out and to be what you wanted, to have those players out there, and then you also think, well, man, Michael Walker had a hellified camp as a rookie. He was always around the ball. He was always, disrupting pass plays. If there was a fumble, guess who was there? Number 43. You've got guys like Kaminsky. You're like, where's him? Denard, Sheffield. So it's like your depth is no longer that big of an issue to me at a lot of important places where it was weak around our stars.
I want to say that I think that we're sort of shifting, besides at the cornerback spot where Isaiah is still sort of a question mark, and we don't really know what AJ Terrell is going to be. I think we're sort of beyond the whole potential thing, right? And I think the reason I'm sort of excited about hearing these lineups, because these guys are good. All the people that you're listing at every position have proven that they're good. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, and with the right tutelage of the D coordinator, this should be good. Like, we're past potential at this point. I think these guys, maybe we haven't all seen them together, and maybe that's the potential thing, right? We haven't seen them in this system yet. But just in terms of plug and play, like, these guys should definitely be a top 10 defense. At least I think so.
Like,
They got the talent.
I think I said I'm going to leave them around 12, just so I temper some of my optimism for them. But I could easily see it. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think that could keep us from that is that we're gonna be in the division that we're in. We've got all these games against the Saints, against the Buccaneers, and the Panthers aren't a slouch on offense. They're gonna score with just about everybody. They're gonna give up a ton of points, but they're gonna score with everybody too. So that could be the only thing. We could be a lot better than we look in the rankings.
While I actually love Teddy Bridgewater, I wonder if his conservative nature will be an issue in that offense, because that's, Joe Brady is he's a spread guy. He likes gunslingers, and he likes a guy who's confident and not scared to throw the ball.
Check down Charlie.
And not scared to turn the ball over, which, I mean, he protects the football, but will he make the throws that Joe Brady might want him to make, or will he be more like a Alex Smith or Jason Campbell back in the day, where it's just kind of like, yeah, it's there, but I don't want to risk it. So
Jason Campbell.
Boy, Jason Campbell was one of those quarterbacks that just got screwed over by circumstance.
Yeah,
it was 7 years in the league, 8 different offensive coordinators.
Right.
It's like, good
like
God.
that, yeah.
Let's call Matt. Ask Matt what that's like.
God, yeah. All right, so now we've heard our depth chart, and now we move on to this Sunday, which, guys, is actual Atlanta NFL football. By the way,
Live bullet.
you guys are both welcome to come join me down here and watch. I can't figure out which way is which. In the man cave, because we'll have games on all 3 TVs and probably on these 4 monitors over here as well, if we have the ability to watch them. It's gonna be football everywhere.
Red Zone, NFL Red Zone.
Yeah, are you paying that extra $10 for Red Zone?
No, get European Red Zone. Get a VPN and get a European Red Zone.
That's how I always do it anyway, but
Yeah,
I always
it's
do it
cheaper.
online.
we can figure
It's
it out.
cheaper, and you get better access, and you can actually rewatch the games, unlike the American Red Zone.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we've got a matchup, and according to Bleacher Report, against a top 5 team this year. We're opening up the season against Danger Russ and the Seattle Seahawks. I was talking to Bunker about this earlier today, about how he feels with being an Atlanta broadcast member, but being from Seattle. I'm like, how do you feel? What's your excitement level at right now, considering that NFL football is less than 5 days away now? The first game of the season is the team you cover, and then also your favorite team. And he's like, man, I'm at 100 right now. I could not be more excited. He didn't want to give me too much of the Seattle side of him, because I think he still feels like that he has to act like an Atlanta broadcaster with me, but he's excited.
I know he pretty much said on the radio that he wants to enjoy this season here. So he's sort of rooting for the Falcons, because a bad start means a bad season too. It's like you don't want a bad season having to talk about Atlanta Falcons all year.
Right. So I want you guys to talk to me about your thoughts about this game. I know we did our real quick predictions of the season coming up here, but I want to dive a little bit deeper on this matchup. Where do you think some areas of opportunity for us are, where some areas of problems are, and then what you think ultimately this game is going to come down to? Like, what's going to be the deciding factor? And Marco, I want you to lead us off.
So I think, just with the nature of Seattle being such a run-heavy team, and I think this will be a great first-week test for this defense, right? And I think the ability to control Russ, so our cornerbacks are going to be crucial. I think everything is going to predicate on what the defense is able to do and control that offense, right? Because I think our offense, no matter how many points they put up, we're going to be able to put up just as many points. Because we did it with freaking what's our backup's name?
Matt Schaub.
Matt
Matt
Schaub
Shaw,
last year.
400,
Matt Schaub
400 plus yards.
right, kept us in that game. So I don't think we'll have any problem scoring points, but it's just about will our defense come up and surprise people? And I think that's what I'll be looking for. And if they don't, then it'll be a long season. But if they even, show some ability to be like, oh, wow, these guys, then I think that will be indicative. And I think we can get that win if our defense performs unexpectedly to most people.
So you think an area of opportunity for us is the run defense, if I'm hearing that correct?
Yeah, it would have to be the run defense.
Stopping their run, forcing them to pass?
Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying we have that advantage. Our advantage is obviously the offense.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying that what we need to do is stop the run. And if we can do that with the front line that we have now, which, looks good on paper, then we have a great chance of winning this game.
I mean,
we're probably not favored in.
The best – no, we're not. One of the best things I think that a lot of people are overlooking is how good of a run defender Dante Fowler actually is.
Yeah.
His pass rush has been the stuff that's really stepped up, but he's always been a great run defender. So I think that helps. And Tack is a good run defender as well. We finally have cut ties with the looping pass rush. Oh, shit, they just ran up my gap, Vic Beasley.
Vic Beasley, man, this guy.
He was thinking he was writing sermons in his head as he was down in the stands. Like, oh, they snapped the ball. Like, what you think?
So I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Marco. I think if we let Chris Carson get going, it's going to be an uphill task to try to beat Seattle. They are very Pete Carroll is a very old school coach. He likes to run the ball first, and he believes in running the ball in defense. And even though as great as Russ is, he doesn't like to put Russ out there to have to throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. He prefers a balance. Well, yeah. Well, even still, he didn't throw the ball that much. He just threw the ball at the wrong time.
Oops.
But I think ultimately, yeah, the run defense, which I think the improvements we made to the defensive line are going to be huge. I think honestly, their receiver core can be lethal, but I also think if they mess around and put, I think AJ against DK is not that much of a mismatch. I think AJ can hold his own against DK. Now, if they move him to Oliver, I don't know. Tyler Lockett is a beast in the slot, but Darquez Denard is a very good slot corner.
He's
too.
A great press corner.
So it's like, all right, we could potentially capitalize on a lot of their flaws if we can get them out of their game plan and like force them to, rush to run around in circles and try to, throw up prayers. Then there's a shot. Then we have a good shot to hold them down. And, as far as our offense against their defense, they've made some very good improvements on their defense. I mean, safety, the middle of the field is it's probably as good as it's ever been. Well, almost as good as the Legion of Boom, because you have Jamal Adams, who's one of the best cover safeties, and he can play the run. He can do everything. Who's the other? What's the other safety name?
Quandre Diggs.
Diggs is a very good free, but I think their corners are a weakness. I do not like their corners. Now, Bobby Wagner is a monster too. So the middle of the field, it's going to be hard to attack them on the middle of the field. But, outside, and if you can isolate their corners, you have a very good shot at doing some damage to them. I really think we could carve them up. Not to mention, I think their D line isn't necessarily great. So if our offensive line is as good as everything has been reported, we might be able to run on them too, which really would make it hard because, if Jamal Adams has to decide whether to play the run or drop back in coverage, that means Julio or Ridley can get behind him and deep shots. So I think potentially it could be a big thing, and I'm really excited to see how we do. So
I hear you. I agree with most of what both of you said. I think we're going to approach this. Let's start with their offense. I think the best thing that we can do against Russell Wilson is not blitz him. I think the biggest, you must rush on the ends. This is not going to be a game where you see Fowler and you see Tack really getting upfield and attacking. Their job is going to be contain him, keep him in that pocket, create lanes for those linebackers to keep sights on him, and let the middle of the pocket do the pressure. Because you got the linebackers and you got the safeties that you can sit down in the box and cover Russ. He's not going to outrun our linebackers. He's just not. He's quick. He's not fast. Where he does most of his damage, though, is getting out that pocket real quick and then shooting that ball upfield real quick and letting those safeties break down. So I think you're going to see a lot of these casual fans say something like, oh, well, all that money we spent on Fowler and now Tack's just not getting another sack. I think you're going to see a lot of that this game, but you're going to see a really good job of containing Russ. Partially because their offensive line is still trash. They've got a whole bunch of recycled players. They got a bunch of guys that just aren't NFL level, blockers. They've never invested in the offensive line for Russ, and it's showed every year, which is why he makes his living outside the pocket. Mm-hmm. And if you let him outside of the pocket, that's where you see those players like Lockett, who's one of the fastest players in the NFL, DK Metcalf, who's one of the fastest players in the NFL, Philip Dorsett, who's one of the fastest players in the NFL, get loose and get behind those secondaries. And Russ has a strong enough arm that he can throw it on the run 40, 50 yards, 60 yards on a dime. Micah, you also hit on it with their defensive line. They lost Clowney. They haven't had an elite edge rusher since Averill was healthy. They've got good linebackers, but they don't have a line that's really going to pressure anybody and that's really not going to lock down the run. Seattle to this year is built to me like a sports car. But the problem with sports cars in the NFL is the NFL is a long haul. You got to have horses up front on both sides to win. And I don't think Seattle's going to be nearly as good as people say. Russ is going to get him some wins. Pete Carroll's going to get him some wins. But you don't have the necessary tools that you used to have, because what made that Legion of Boom so good was they could sit back in that shell coverage. Guys were smart enough to jump those routes, and they would get pressure with their front four. They just don't have that anymore. You do that to a quarterback like Matt Ryan and the receivers that we have now, he's going to slice them up. Jamal Adams is a great addition as far as his pure talent goes. I don't think this is a great scheme fit for him, because one of the things that made him so dynamic in New York was they blitzed him they used him as an edge rusher. He
versatility.
Yeah, I mean, the guy does it, and it's just not what Pete Carroll does with his strong safeties. How many times did you see Cam Chancellor running down and blitzing people?
Nah.
You didn't do it. He was sitting in the box, and he was playing those robber zones. So, I mean, his talent's going to shine anywhere, but I just don't think he's going to be as great as he was with the Jets. Bobby Wagner's Bobby Wagner. He's the best middle linebacker in the NFL right now. I mean, he's going to fill running lanes. He's going to cover people. I think Hayden Hurst is really going to give him some fits, though, because Hayden Hurst is a lot faster than people think. Mm-hmm. A lot faster than people think. and they're certainly not going to leave KJ Wright on him.
Well, unless they put
Brooks.
Jamal Adams to take them away.
Please do. Please put Jamal Adams on our fourth best receiver, our third best receiver. Go for it. Yeah. Go ahead and leave
And just
Ridley
let Diggs sit deep.
yeah. Julio and Ridley are going to eat you alive.
I just don't think Diggs has the range that like Earl
Thomas?
Earl Thomas had.
Who's still a free agent, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. Dan pretty much said he's not interested, even though he loves him.
The Cowboys said no thanks. They signed Brandon Carr over him.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
That lets you know the way the NFL is looking at him right now. And the Cowboys, who were just enamored with him, said no thanks.
Yeah, I think he's kind of shown his ass several teams. So
I feel like we're going to dominate this game. I really do. I feel like the matchups are in our favor. Once I really started to look at Seattle's depth chart again, like I said, they have shiny pieces. They got Jamal Adams. They got Bobby Wagner. Those are the best strong safety, in my opinion, and the best middle linebacker in the game. But outside of that, who's going to get you pressure this year? Bruce Irvin? He's what, 34?
Yeah.
I mean,
24-17.
Benson Mayowa and LJ Collier. I mean, KJ Wright and Bobby are KJ Wright and Bobby, but they just don't have enough to me.
Yeah.
That's if we play a smart defensive game plan, which I think we will. We saw a lot of that last year. We saw a lot of the you're going to play this game and that's all you're going to play. Get thrown out the window, and we went by matchups. So I think we go – it's here? It's away. Where is it? I forget.
I think it's away.
Let me double-check that just to be sure.
I thought it was
Atlanta. It's here.
Oh, it's here.
It's here.
Oh, okay. Well,
So we'll see, man. I have faith. I think we're going to be really good. I think we're going to come out with a dub on this one. Anything else y'all want to say on the Falcons? Marco, you got some things you want to say about us, or?
No, man. I'm already the most optimistic one out of all of us. So
Yeah, I know record-wise, you certainly were ahead of the curve on all of us.
So I'm sticking with that. I think we'll have a really good season. Yeah.
Speaking of the Falcons, I got a confirmation from someone who is directly affiliated with them as an upcoming guest. Do y'all know who Matt Tabik is?
yes.
Yeah, so he will be joining us on the podcast later this season. He said the preseason camp time is his busiest time of the year because he's in there interviewing players and doing things like that. So he said hit him back up about a month into the season, and we will get him on board. He'll come on, join us. He'll also give us some tips and pointers and maybe link us on some people. Maybe he'll get us some cool guests.
Got any tips?
Got any tips? Hey, baby.
You can all shred it. You can all shred it like your Rambo 2. Got any tips?
Oh, man. I think that pretty much does it as far as our content. And now we go into our fun stuff. Fun times, the lightning round. We've already heard it. We've already heard what our lightning round is, as Lionel left us high and dry to bring this on home by ourselves. 4-man crew doing it shorthanded once again, Lionel. I'm going to go first on our lightning round question just because I feel like I have a really good one. And I'm not going to go the happy route. I'm going to go what I feel like would just be a really interesting time. And I'm going to go with a member of the Umbrella Academy. I would have loved to have joined that family. And, I know the dad was an asshole, but for those of you who have seen season 2, it's a little bit different of a story than you thought. And boy, that would be an interesting upbringing. And also you would have some type of cool superpower. I just hope I'm not the dead one. But yeah, I think that would be who I joined. I know it's not a sitcom, but
it kind of is, but it's a show. I think it counts.
Sitcoms are different nowadays.
Yeah. Whoever wants it can take it from there.
Marco, you want to take it?
Yeah. So mine was gonna be Fresh Prince too. Just because like I would pretty much want to. I don't know. We're just a part of the family, right? We don't have to replace anybody. I would just be like a vulture for all Will Smith's like bad, bad females that he would bring through. Like he'd literally bring every single.
Me next.
Right.
Wow.
He would bring every single attractive starlet in the early '90s onto his show, and I was just loving it. Or I would go Boy Meets World and get Topanga or Angela. Insert myself.
Hey, she looked better now than she ever did.
Man,
Right.
I'm telling you, I did not appreciate Topanga as a young man, but boy, I saw her again. I was like, oh, oh.
Oh man. So I was thinking of all of the shows I could do. Fresh Prince is kind of too easy.
Yeah, tell Marco and Lionel that it was a cop out.
How is that a cop out? If you said it was a good answer when he said it, if he wouldn't have said that first, it would.
I mean, it
It's a
is,
cop
but
out
I mean,
for
who
you.
wouldn't want to be a part of the Banks family?
Yeah, especially
Um,
Uncle Phil. That's the whole reason I'd want to do it.
Oh yeah,
Uncle Phil, be my
Phil's
dad,
awesome.
please.
Oh man, so see, the thing was, it was trying to decide, like, maybe Family Matters, the Winslow family, or Smart Guy, but I to me,
Do Everybody Hates Chris.
I don't want Terry Crews to be my dad anymore.
Hell no. Hell no.
Oh yeah, now, especially now.
No, I would think maybe like the Bernie Mac show.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Have Bernie Mac. No,
Bring back as your dad.
no, I ain't scared of you,
Oh, that's even better than Fresh Prince, in my opinion.
Yeah, having Bernie Mac as your dad would be an amazing plus. I'm changing my answer to Growing Pains.
Uncle Bernie.
That's funny. Those are all really good answers. What was your second one? You had two. It was
Me?
no. It was said it was either that one or
He
gave
said
us
Bernie
three
Mac.
or
no,
No, you said-
the questions. Oh well, we'll think about it
oh
later.
yeah,
Oh no,
I
the
forgot-
candy
I
bar.
forgot
The candy bar
Yeah,
thing is
candy bar
next-
has got to be next week.
Yeah.
Give us some Rex.
Another minute on you crying.
Oh,
Keep
so-
going.
oh yeah, you wouldn't want to
Look.
be Boy Meets World.
Huh?
You wouldn't want to be on Boy Meets World.
No, I'll pick Growing Pains over Boy Meets World. They were such a.
You have Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke
is
is my dad. We could sing together. We could sing.
It's like Robin. You'd actually be like Robin.
Hey,
Oh man.
Robin has not led a bad life.
Not at all.
Yes, he hasn't. Now he's hosting The Masked Singer.
Oh, he does? Is that what
Well,
he's doing?
he's not the host. He's one of the
Yeah.
The
the
judges.
panelists. Yeah.
Okay.
Nick Cannon technically is the host.
What do you got for
Viacom
Rex
pretty
this
much-
week?
You said what?
Marco? So what do you got for Rex?
Oh, what am I recommending? Keep rolling. I'm gonna think of something. Keep rolling.
Micah, you got some Rex for us?
I haven't started it yet. I've been playing a lot of 2K, so I haven't really. But The Boys season 2 is out, and I've heard some really good things.
I think I'm gonna start
But
tomorrow.
if anybody tells me any spoilers, I will destroy you.
I'm gonna do a minute by minute update in our group chat when I start it tomorrow.
I might start it tonight. Honestly, I think I'm starting it tonight, and I'll probably be done by tomorrow.
Jesus
Because
Christ,
when I binge watch, like legitimately watch a whole season in like a few hours. Like go to sleep at like 3 a.m, wake up at 6, and watch it as soon as I wake back up.
Man, hey, look, I'll say one thing. Like, sacrificing sleep was a thing in the military that I did often. But like once I got out, it's kind of like one of the things that my drill sergeants told me when I was in. He was like, I shave every day in the military. I carry heavy things. My feet get abused. My back gets abused. He's like, when I'm on leave and when I get out, I'm gonna pamper myself. I'm not getting up early. I'm not shaving every day. I'm gonna go and get like pedicures. He's like, I'm taking care of myself. He's like, I do this because I have to. When I get out and I don't have to, I ain't doing that shit anymore. So like, for you that sacrifices sleep, just meh. I'm like, Nicole does that too. I'm like, you don't have to do that.
Well, my thing is I've never really, the jobs I've worked, I've never really had a luxury of really sleeping. Like,
Boy, when you did that whole UPS shit, I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
And I often, during UPS, I often worked a second job. So like there was no afternoon nap after I got off. So it was just one of those things. I would go to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock, wake back up at about 2:30. And like now my body is so accustomed to it. I don't sleep more than like 4 or 5 hours a night now.
That's terrible, man. That's really bad.
Night.
That's really
like legitimately, like Monday was a holiday. Or yesterday was a holiday, and I was up I woke up at like 5:30, went to the bathroom, laid back down, went back to sleep, and even after I went back to sleep, I woke right back up at like 7:15. So it was like I can't. My body is just like.
What time did you go to sleep?
I went to bed at like 1.
So 1.
Because I was playing 2K.
4 plus 2. I mean, that's around 7 hours.
Yeah,
you're supposed to get like 8.
Like if I had to go to work, it would only been like 5.
Yeah,
and I would have been fine. But
you think you're fine, but you're really not.
When do you didn't you tell us you're getting a new job here, Micah?
I've been trying to.
Oh, okay. I thought you got one. I thought you landed one.
No, my sister was trying to get me a job on with her company, and I haven't heard back.
Help desk type job.
Yeah, it was. She works at LexisNexis. Do the secure background checks.
So my rec is if you have to go to work at an early hour, and it's like about to be 12 or 1, and you're like, oh, let me just watch one more episode. You can always watch it tomorrow. Go to sleep.
Yeah, I was about to wreck the same thing. Get a full night's sleep. It's very important. You feel like a different person.
Still wouldn't happen.
You could if you trained your body.
Right,
my rec will probably be the new Avengers game.
Okay. Oh yeah, you wrecked. How is that? You wrecked it last week, or you talked about it?
Yeah, I just got it this past week or this last weekend. Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. They definitely took their time on it. They built in storylines on it. It's not like one of those that you're like, oh wow, this is a great story. It's not like a Last of Us type story, but it's cool. It's like a good filler for Marvel. The fighting dynamics are a little repetitive, but that's just the type of game it is.
Is it like that with that Batman game?
Yeah, like Arkham.
Yeah,
it's very similar. Very similar. Very similar button structure. Very similar attack style. You unlock skill points to do cooler things. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the best comparison I could give you. Shout outs. I'm gonna shout out. I don't really got one for y'all this week. I don't got anybody that I want to give love to. Fuck everybody else.
Oh man,
y'all can go.
I got my 2. I got 2. First, and as we usually do, want to give a shout out to Flu at Loving the Flu on Instagram. That fish and grits was still life changing. So was the smoked salmon mac and cheese. It's amazing. if anybody, he started selling a personal size now too. So for those who, you know, don't have a family or to share it with, or, you know, a half pan or a full pan would be way too much, there's a personal pan now. Also, I want to give another shout out to my other chef friend, Stacy, aka at chef.lambo on Instagram. She made some pineapple balsamic lamb chops that I really want to try. They looked amazing. So shout out, once I get done with this whole keto thing, I will definitely hit you up and come see you about some food.
Shout out to Costco for having the $21.99 protein, organic protein in the big bottle. Quite the hookup.
Gentlemen, I believe that is a wrap on the episode. It's a lot later than the actual episode will reflect because of all of our technical difficulties, but a good one nonetheless. That will do it for episode 18 of Fish and Grits, the podcast, brought to you by internet outages and dogs chewing on bones.
Peace.
I will talk to you all shortly, and everyone else have a wonderful night.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Deuces.
Adios.